Yo, what's good, guys? It's Austin here, or Luna. So today's story time, in my opinion, is definitely a interesting one. I was recently watching that Netflix show about Jeffrey Dahmer. I'm sure everyone knows about it at this point. I think it's like one of the biggest shows out right now, and it's just a whole story of how he became a fucking weirdo murderer. You already know about him. But I saw this scene where he was drinking beer in class, and I was like, that reminds me of a lot of things I've seen people do in class. And I've told stories about those things on this channel before. But yeah, man, like I've seen people like hit their weed vapes in class. I've seen people drink in class. I've seen people, well, actually, I've seen a person beat their meat in class in the back. Yeah, bro, like had his hand down his pants in the back, just going at it. And I saw it. Needless to say, I was horrified at the sight of that. I don't think any of you are that weird, but if you're in school, don't fucking do that shit. That's weird. Don't do any of the things I just talked about. But anyway, today's story time is about one of these times where I witnessed someone doing something ridiculous in class, and they actually got caught, and I almost got in trouble as well. So if you enjoyed this, leave a like on the video, and let's jump into it. So today's story time all takes place in my last year of high school. I woke up at like 6 in the morning. I only slept like 3 hours. I jumped up, took a shower, got ready for my day. I was actually running pretty late, so I showered pretty fast. I was on the bus by 6:30. I got to school at like 6:50. And yeah, I walk into school, I get in there, I go to my locker, I get the things that I need for the day, and I go to my first period class. Now, nothing too out of the ordinary happened in first period, just pretty normal class. But second period, some shit went down. So I go to second period class, and I sit down in my seat. We had assigned seats in this class, and I sat next to a kid, let's just call him Peter, okay? Don't know why I gave him that name, but it felt fitting. I sit next to this kid named Peter, right? And Peter, he was a pretty quiet kid. He didn't really bother anybody. He was very much to himself. But he also liked to get high a lot. For example, like every time I'd see him at a party or like out anywhere, he was always fucked up. He'd either be drunk or high. And it's not like he was smoking with his friends or like having a couple of drinks with his friends. He'd be like alone at these parties on the couch, just going into oblivion. And that shit was sad to see. I'm not a psychiatrist, but it seemed like he was running from something, or he just had an addiction problem, or both. And I didn't like seeing that. However, it wasn't my business, and it's not my place to tell him what to do, so I kind of just had to sit there and watch, right? But anyway, Peter comes into second period class, he sits down next to me, and immediately I see him going into his backpack and grabbing something. And while he's looking through his backpack for whatever he's grabbing, he keeps looking up at the teacher who has their back turned. My teacher, she was writing something down on the board, so she wasn't looking at the class. So this was like Peter's golden opportunity to do whatever he needed to do. So he reaches into his backpack, he's like looking at the teacher at the same time. He finds what he was looking for and he pulls them out. And what he ended up pulling out was one of those like mint containers. Like, those containers that have like mints in them or candy, like those tin container things. He pulls out one of those, and I think that they're mints, right? So I was like, yo, can I have one? He's like, oh, nah, man, like these aren't mints. And he opens them up, and I can see what's in them. And there's multiple different pills. Like, I don't even know how many there were. There was probably a good 3 or 4 different kinds. And I was like, yo, what are you doing? He's like, I'm about to take a Xan. You want one? I was like, nah, man. But like, really? Like this early in the morning? He's like, bro, I didn't get any sleep last night. I have a headache. I'm just not trying to be here right now. I'm tired. So yeah, I'm going to take one and zone out. Keep in mind, bro, it's 8 in the morning, man. Like, our second period was like 8:15 or some shit. It was early as fuck. Like, this dude's day hadn't even started yet, and he was already trying to go back to sleep. So yeah, anyway, he grabs this Gatorade out of his backpack. He grabs one of these pills. He puts it in his mouth. He starts drinking it. And the teacher must have seen this because I hear the teacher go, hey, Peter, what are you doing? And me and Peter both look up, and we see the teacher staring at us. And he's like, nothing, just taking a mint. And she goes, taking a mint? I thought you put mints in your mouth. You don't drink with them. I just saw you sip something down. Was that a pill? And he goes, yeah, I have a headache. And she goes, okay, so first it was a mint. Now you have a headache. So you did take some medicine. What kind of medicine was it? And he goes, Tylenol. And she goes, okay, cool. Show me the bottle. And he holds up the mint container thing. And she goes, come here. And Peter gets up and she walks him over to the desk, and they're like whispering to each other. And next thing I know, Peter comes over to me, grabs his backpack off the chair, and goes, way to go, dude. You made me take my eyes off her, and now I got caught. Thanks. And then my teacher yells and goes, Austin, do you have something to do with this as well? And I was like, no, I don't. And she goes, good. Stop talking to Peter. And then Peter grabs his backpack and just heads out of the room up to the main office. And I put 2 and 2 together at that point. He got kicked out of class because she knew what he was doing, and she probably looked in that container and saw what was in them. So yeah, Peter was gone for 2 days after this. I had no idea where he was. I assumed he got suspended or expelled or some shit for popping a fucking pill in the middle of class. And then on day 3, Peter comes back. And he comes up to me in class in second period, and he sits down next to me, and I'm like, yo, where have you been at? He's like, I've been in suspension. I was like, shit, you got out of school? He's like, nah, in school suspension. I just had to sit in this room all day and do homework. I was like, shit, man, I'm sorry. Like, I didn't mean to get you in trouble. He's like, honestly, man, nah, I have a fucking issue, and you made me aware of it that day. And I was like dumbfounded when he said this. I was like, you're joking. He's like, nah, man, for real. Like, yeah, I was pissed I got caught. But when I had to go up to the main office and they called my mom in and told her what happened, I saw her crying, and like it just made me realize I had a problem, bro. Like, I shouldn't be doing that shit at 8 in the morning. Like, you were right. He's like, I shouldn't be fucking with pills at all. Like, I know people that died from doing pills. I was like, man, I wasn't trying to judge you or anything. He's like, nah, you weren't. I get it. Like, you were just concerned. And I just couldn't believe what I was hearing. Like, I didn't think Peter was the type of dude to be like super open and understanding about shit like this. I thought he was just gonna hate me forever. But he was mad cool about it. And he's like, yeah, man, but thank you. I haven't done shit since then. It's been a few days. I'm going to keep the streak going. And he was fucking right, dude. Literally the whole rest of that year that I knew Peter, he didn't do shit. Every time I saw him out at a party, he would like smoke a little bit and then just immediately cut himself off. He wouldn't drink. He wouldn't do anything else. He completely just didn't do shit except smoke a little bit of weed. That was it. So I was like super proud of him. And you're probably wondering where he's at nowadays. Unfortunately, I don't talk to Peter anymore. We kind of lost touch after I got out of school. He moved to a different state, but I still have him added on Facebook. And I checked out his profile before I made this video just to see what he was up to. And from what I can see, Peter's doing pretty fucking good. He works at like a really big company, and he's pretty high up in it apparently, based on what I saw. So he's probably making some good ass money. He's got a nice car, and he's living with his girlfriend. So I think Peter's doing pretty good, and I think he's made a nice life for himself. So shout out to you, Peter, if you're watching this. I'm gonna be honest, I don't think Peter's even watching this video because I don't think he ever found out about my YouTube channel. Like, we were cool, but like I never told him about my YouTube, and I don't think anyone ever did. So as far as I know, he has no idea I even do this shit. So he probably won't see this video. But if you are watching this, Peter, it's Austin. Hit me up, man. But yeah, guys, moral of this story is don't do what Peter was doing in any circumstances at all. It's not good for you, and it's very, very dangerous. But yeah, guys, that's pretty much the end of today's story time. In the end, Peter was safe. Peter learned a lesson and actually made a really, really good change because of it. And he didn't get expelled, which is very, very good because honestly, I thought he was gonna. He only got 2 days in school suspension. Don't really know how that happened. But yeah, guys, I hope you enjoyed the story time. If you did, please leave a like on the video. Really appreciate it. Feel free to leave your story times in the comments down below. And subscribe if you're new. I'll see you guys all later. Peace.
Try suicide. I just went and moved to LA. My soul sacrificed. You just betrayed me and keep going with the lie.
Yo, what's good, guys? It's Austin here, or Luna. So today's story time's definitely an insane one, definitely a crazy one, and one that I've been waiting to tell for a long time now. Before I jump into it, I just want to say my bad about the super monotone tone that I have right now. I'm sick, and my voice is kind of gone, and if I talk any louder or quieter than this, it just hurts really bad, and I can't talk, so you're going to have to deal with this monotone-ass Luna for a little bit. I guess I'm kind of monotone in general, but I'm extra monotone today. But anyway, today's story time is a pretty crazy one, pretty insane one. If you enjoy it, leave a like on the video, and let's jump into this. So today's story time is about the time that I witnessed somebody, a good friend of mine, trip on DMT in high school. Yeah, you heard that correctly. I hope you enjoy it. Let's jump into it. So today's story time all starts off as a normal day in 10th grade. I got up out of bed, I took a shower. I was actually up pretty early on this morning. I wasn't running late for once. I took a shower, got ready for my day, ate some cereal, kind of hung out in my room for a little bit, and then I got on the bus and went to school. Now, I got to school at about 6:50 or something in the morning, real early. Class started at 7:15, I believe. So, very early start to the day, to say the least. Now, I go up to my locker, and I'm getting my folders out, getting things ready for my first period class, and one of my friends runs up to me. Let's just call his friend Aaron, okay? Aaron runs up to me at my locker, and Aaron was a year older than me. He was in 11th grade. And he was like, yo, you'll never guess what I bought today. And I was like, today? Like, the day just started. What do you mean? What'd you buy? And he opens up this little baggie in his backpack, and he shows me. And it's just straight up DMT. Now, DMT at the time, especially, was very hard to come across, especially as a high schooler. Most people didn't even know about it in my high school. And the fact that my friend got it from his plug at like 6 in the morning is crazy. So I asked him, I was like, did you really just buy that this morning? Because like he said he got it today, which means like literally this morning. And he's like, yeah, bro, I got it 30 minutes ago in the parking lot. I was just buying weed and he happened to have some and I had to try it. And I was like, shit, man, when are you going to do it? He's like, probably when the day's over. I was like, yeah, that's a solid plan. I wouldn't do that during the school day. He's like, yeah, I'll probably wait. So anyway, fast forward through most of the day. Nothing too out of the ordinary happened. And then I get to my last period class, literally the last period of the day. School day's almost over. At this point, I had kind of forgotten about the fact that my friend had DMT on him in school. And I get a text message from none other than Aaron. And he's like, yo, man, stay after school today with me. And I was like, stay after school? Because, like, staying after meant, like, usually one of two things. You either stay after to make up for homework and shit with a teacher, like, in their class, or you're staying after for detention. And, like, nobody wants to stay after. Like, no one wants to stay an extra hour at school. Like, fuck that. So, yeah, I responded, and I was like, dude, I'm not staying after. I don't have detention. I'm not going to stay with you for detention. Like, I'm good. He's like, bro, I don't have detention. And I was like, okay, so why would we stay after? And then he replies, he goes, the DMT, duh. I thought he was fucking joking. I replied, and I was like, haha, you're funny. And he's like, nah, dude, seriously, like, let's do it here. And I respond, I'm like, first of all, I'm not doing that shit today, bro. Like, not in the headspace for it, not ready for that right now. I'm good. Second of all, why would you do it in school? Like, just take the bus home when class lets out in like 20 minutes, go home and do it there. He's like, I can't, bro. My parents are home. I'm like, dude, just wait for a time where they're not home in the next week or like over the weekend or something. Like, don't risk it at school, bro. Like, you get caught doing that at school, it's not like you're smoking weed or smoking cigarettes or anything. Like, it's DMT. It's like one of the highest up, if not the highest up, psychedelic there is. And he's like, whatever, dad, I'm doing it. And I'm like, whatever, man, fine. Your choice, your life, I can't stop you. I'm just saying it's a stupid fucking idea. And it was. I still stand by that. Everyone could probably agree with me that doing DMT in school is a fucking stupid idea. So anyway, fast forward, it's like 5 minutes until the bell rings, class is about to let out, and now word is getting around, right? Like, he's texting other friends of ours to stay after, and I'm getting text messages from other people that we know, like mutual friends, and they're texting me, and they're like, yo, you staying after today? You gonna watch Aaron with us? We're gonna trip sit. And yeah, Aaron gets like 3 different friends of ours to stay after school that day and trip sit with him. So I'm thinking about it, and I'm like, you know what? Fuck it. If 3 other friends of ours are staying after and it's going to be a group of people, I'll stay after too. I got nothing going on after school. Let's do it. So fast forward a few minutes later, the bell rings, class lets out, people get on their buses to go home, everyone's happy, excited, leaving school, and I'm sitting by my locker waiting for Aaron and the rest of them to meet up with me. Now, the thing about my school after school is it was pretty dead. Like, literally, the only thing that would be happening was like after school activities like sports, which was all outside, and like detention, which was upstairs and in the cafeteria, and like after school activities and shit like that were all in separate classrooms, and there wasn't that many going on that day. So it was super quiet after the school like emptied out and no one was there. So yeah, me, Aaron, and the rest of our friends, we all meet up at my locker, and then we proceed to go to the boys' bathroom on the bottom level of the school and go in there. And my friend locks the door behind us, and Aaron proceeds to get right to it. He opens up his backpack, and he pulls out this pretty big bong that took up, like, most of the backpack. And I was like, dude, have you had that with you the whole day? He's like, nah, I just went out to my car and grabbed it. I was like, oh, okay. Thought you just had that chilling in your backpack all day. He's like, nah. So, yeah, Aaron had his license. He had a car that he would drive to school every day. He was one of the first people in our group to have his license. And he'd keep most of the things that would get him in trouble in his car. And I'm guessing that's where he kept the DMT all day as well. But anyway, he comes into the bathroom, he unloads his bong, he grabs the DMT, and he starts packing the bong. And he was using that method where you use 2 bits of herb in between the DMT so you could smoke it out of a bong. And yeah, he just gets right to it. He takes his first hit, and the minute he exhales after holding it for like 5 seconds, he's like, whoa. And I was like, you feeling it already? And then he goes in for another one, and he hits it again. And after that exhale, he just says nothing. His face said it all. Like, he was just gone. And yeah, my friend takes the bong from him because he doesn't want him to drop it. And my friend Aaron, the one that smoked the DMT, proceeds to just lay down on the bathroom floor and stare up at the fluorescent lights and just completely zone out. For I don't know how long, he was laying there for quite a while, just zoned. And my one friend was trying to talk to him. He's like, Aaron, you okay? And he just said nothing. And then I was like, Aaron, you good? He said nothing. He was just in his own little world. Now, to this day, I don't know the exact amount that he did, but I'm assuming it was a good enough amount to make him break through, quote unquote, because he was fucking completely checked out mentally. Now, about 15 minutes later, he kind of slowly started to come back to us and just slowly eased out of it. And after he was like fully back, he looks at me and he asks me, he goes, how long was I like gone for? I was like, I don't know, man, 20, 30 minutes maybe in total, but like the real like thick of it, probably 10 to 15. He's like, fuck, dude, that was crazy. And I was like, you gotta tell me, man, what'd you see? He's like, dude, there was like this tunnel. And he just talked about the infamous tunnel that everyone talks about. And I was like, did you go through it? He's like, yeah. And then I was like in a forest. And I was like, really? He's like, yeah, man, it was crazy. Like, it wasn't a bad trip at all. I was like, that's good. I'm glad you at least didn't have a bad time. He's like, bro, but it felt so much longer. Like, it literally felt like what could be hours. I was like, yeah, man, that's what I was trying to tell you earlier. Like, DMT is one of the craziest psychedelics there is. Like, it can feel like hours, but only be like a 20-minute trip. Like, that's what I'm talking about. He's like, that was insane, bro. I'm definitely going to do it again. I was like, now? He's like, no, not now, but like this weekend or something. I was like, okay, good, because I'm getting a little sketched out being in the bathroom right now. Because the whole bathroom had smoke in it, smelled like burnt plastic. Like, it was a weird smell. It was a distinct smell. If anyone walked in and saw what was going on, we'd probably all get fucking expelled. So we pack up Aaron's things. We all walk out of the bathroom with him. We're still kind of keeping our eye on him because he just came out of a pretty serious trip. But he seemed okay. And the rest of that day, he was all good. We all just kind of hung out at Aaron's house, and he didn't do any more. But yeah, to this day, I cannot believe we didn't get caught. I really can't. It's a good thing we did it after school hours. But the fact that it was still in school is crazy. But yeah, that's pretty much it. All in all, crazy. Everyone ended up being okay. That's all that matters. Moral of this story is, don't do any of the things I talked about in this story time whatsoever. It's just for entertainment purposes. Don't go out getting yourselves in trouble because you see one of my videos. But yeah, guys, I hope you enjoyed this story time. If you did, please leave a like on the video. I'd really appreciate it. Feel free to leave your story times in the comments down below. And subscribe if you're new. I'll see you guys all later. Peace. Yo, what's up, guys? It's Austin here, or Luna. So I've tried to tell this story time for like 4 days now, and every time I do it, the video corrupts. Which I don't know what that means. I don't know if there's like some demon hovering over me that's like, hey dude, you're not fucking uploading this video, man. You're not uploading that shit. But I'm going to upload this damn video, and I'm going to tell this story to you guys. Like, for real, if it's the last thing I do, I'm going to do it. So today's story time is a pretty crazy one, pretty spooky one. It happened pretty recently. And I hope you enjoy it. Leave a like on the video if you do, and let's jump into it. So today's story time all takes place a couple weeks ago. I woke up in the morning like any other day, just really, really tired because I only slept like 4 hours, and I had a call on my phone that was missed. And it was from my friend David. So I immediately called him back. It rang a few times, and then David answered the phone, and he was like, what's up? I was like, hello, with my fucking morning voice. And he's like, dude, did you just wake up? I was like, yeah. He's like, dude, it's like fucking 3 p.m. Get your shit together, man. I was like, fuck you, dude. And he's like, anyway, I need your help. I was like, what is it? He's like, so I have some good news, and I have some bad news. What do you want to hear first? I was like, the good news. He's like, the good news is I just got my first ever apartment, and I want you to come see it. Now, my friend David had been trying to get his own apartment for literally like 2 years, and he just couldn't do it. Either his roommate would last minute drop out, or like he couldn't find a place that was in his budget, or like his parents needed him for a couple of months to help around the house. Like, he just kept having all these things pop up, and he couldn't move out. But finally, he got his own place. So that was great news. I immediately got really excited. I was like, dude, congrats. Like, that's fucking huge. He's like, yeah, man. bad news is I can't afford movers, and my lease starts today, and I really need some last minute help moving my shit. And I was like, that's why you're calling me? You need help? You need me to help you move your stuff? Help you out? He's like, yeah, man, like, I'll pay you. I'm like, nah, dude, I don't need your money. Like, it's what friends are for. Now, I'm not really sure why David called me to help him move his stuff because we have a lot stronger friends that aren't built like spaghetti noodles, but, you know, whatever. He wanted me to help him, so I was down. So 10 minutes later, David pulls up to my house. I get in the car, and I go to help him move his stuff. Now, we went to David's house first, like where his mom lived, to grab the truck that he was renting to help move stuff. And we drove that over to David's apartment. We get there. He shows me the new place. This place is fucking beautiful. Like, such a nice place. It was a 2-bedroom. He recently got a new job, so he didn't have to have a roommate. He could just live there all by himself. He was going to have a room dedicated to his gaming stuff. He was going to have his bedroom and then the living room all to himself. So I was super proud of David, man. I was so excited for him. And that was the first thing I said to him when we walked in. I was like, dude, this is amazing. Like, I'm so proud of you. He's like, thank you, man. So anyway, me and David start moving his stuff, and I can't lie, it wasn't that hard. Like, David didn't have a lot of things at his mom's house to move over. It probably took like an hour and a half to move everything, which is pretty quick in my opinion, because most times, like when I move, it takes hours to move all my shit, but he had nothing basically. So we move everything into David's apartment. We get it in like the general area of where it needs to be, and we take a break. We sit down on the couch. We're just laying there, kind of like exhausted, just kind of catching our breath. And David looks over at me and he's like, dude, I'm starving. I'm like, me fucking too, man. I haven't eaten shit all day. He's like, you trying to get some food? I was like, you already know, man. So me and David stand up. We leave his apartment. We get in the big rental truck that he had, and we go to a restaurant nearby, and we start eating. Now, the restaurant we went to was like a pizza place, and we had a friend there that actually worked there. So every time we'd go there, our friend would hook us up with free pizza, and he'd like sit at our table and hang out with us. So that's what we were doing. We were just sitting at our table. Our friend was there. We were all talking about David's new apartment, and it was just a nice dinner together, right? We ended up spending like an hour there. We were there for a pretty long time, and after an hour went by, we realized how long it had been, and we're like, shit, we should probably get back to the apartment and unpack some more stuff. So me and David get up, we say goodbye to our friend, and we head back to the apartment to go unpack David's shit. And we get there, we walk into the apartment building, we walk up to David's door. Now, when we walked in the apartment, it smelled really weird in there. Like, it didn't smell like a brand new apartment like it did before. It smelled like weed and cigarettes, which I thought was strange. Like, this was a brand new apartment building pretty much, and I know the walls weren't thin. Like, it literally smelled like someone smoked a blunt, like, right in the living room, right before we got there. So I look at him, and he looks at me, and he's like, bro, what is going on right now? I was like, I know, man. It smells like some dude just ripped a fat bong in here. He's like, yeah, dude. Anyway, and he starts unpacking shit. And we're just not really thinking much of it because we figured, like, you know, maybe the neighbor was smoking and it was seeping through the wall, and nothing was too out of the ordinary yet. But shit got real out of the ordinary when I went to David's bedroom. He was out in the living room unpacking boxes. I went into David's bedroom and started unpacking boxes in there. And when I walked in there, I didn't notice it at first, but as I was unpacking stuff, I started feeling a really cold breeze on my arm. Now I look up and the fan's not on, and then I look around and I realize the bedroom window is wide open, like just wide open. So immediately I walk into the living room and I look at David. He looks at me. I was like, yo, did you leave your bedroom window open? Because that shit is wide open right now. And he's like, what? And he runs in the room and he sees it. And he's like, dude, I swear on everything, I checked every window before we left to go get food. I was not trying to get robbed the first day being here. And I was like, are you sure? Like, you really checked. You saw that that was closed before we left. He's like, bro, on my mom. Like, I swear on her life. I saw that that window was closed right before we left. Like, someone broke the fuck in here. If it was locked? He's like, nah. I'm like, okay, so it was closed, but it wasn't locked. He's like, yeah. I'm like, okay, so maybe the wind just blew it open. And he walks over to it and he closes the window and then he tries to open it while it's unlocked without turning the handle, and it would not budge. So it was pretty unlikely that the wind opened it. Like, yeah, even though it was unlocked, you still had to turn the window, like crank and open the window. So I look at him and he looks at me and I was like, do you really think someone broke in here? He's like, yeah, bro, like real shit. Now keep in mind, David's window is on the second story of the apartment building. So there was a tree right outside the window that kind of led right up to the window. So if someone did open that window and jump through it, they had to climb up a fucking tree to do so. So it took some real dedication to get into David's apartment. So anyway, David starts freaking out. He's running around the apartment. He's looking for anything that might have been stolen. I'm helping as well. I'm looking around, and nothing really looks like it got taken. Like, all the boxes are still there. David's shoes that he laid out are all still there. All the expensive stuff, like the TV and all that shit, were still there. So I was really confused as to, like, if someone did come in the apartment, why they didn't take anything. And same with David. He was also really confused. Now, here's when shit gets real interesting, okay? So me and David look around the house for about a minute, 2 minutes. Can't see anything out of the ordinary, nothing stolen. So after I look around and I can't find anything out of the ordinary, I sit down at the kitchen table because, I was just taking a break, and I noticed something. On the kitchen table, there's a piece of paper face down with something written on it. And it was like notebook paper, and what was written on it was in black Sharpie. I can tell because it was bleeding through the back of the paper. So immediately I grab that shit and I flip it around to see what it says, and there's a fresh note just sitting on this table, and I shit you not, it reads, "This used to be my place, I lived here first." And then at the bottom of the page, in really small lettering, it said, "Get out." Now, I see this, and I look up at David, and he sees me holding it, and he goes, "What's that?" And I was like, "Bro, this was on your table. Like, you didn't write this, did you?" And he grabs it from me, and he's like, "You're fucking with me." Like, he thought I was pranking him. I was like, "Dude, I swear on everything, I did not write that note." He's like, "Really? Like, you didn't leave this shit here?" I was like, "Bro, I just found it as I sat down to take a break. Like, you saw me pick it up." He's like, "I know, but, like, who would have wrote it?" I was like, "I don't know, man. Like, you said it yourself. Someone came in here. Maybe that's who left it. Like, maybe someone really did jump through your window on the second story." He's like, "Oh, fuck." So immediately he freaks out, and he calls 911 and tells them someone had went into his place while he wasn't home and wrote this creepy note. And they're asking him on the phone. They're like, "Is anything stolen? Is anything missing?" And he's telling them, like, "No, nothing appears to be missing, but there's a creepy note that's threatening, and my window was wide open when I left it closed, and someone came in here." So they send an officer over to check the place out. David talks to him. They talk for like 20, 30 minutes. He makes a report or whatever. And we pretty much get nowhere. Like, whoever was there was already gone. The officer tells us to basically just lock the windows and lock the doors at night and, keep an eye out for anything. And if they find anything, they'll call us, vice versa, call them if we find anything. And yeah, it was pretty much just like a police report was made and that was it. So at this point, David's freaking out because somebody jumped through his window and left a really creepy note on his kitchen table. And, his personal space basically got completely invaded by some stranger. So he was freaked out, right? He didn't want to go to sleep. He didn't want to sleep there that night. And he was just very, very nervous. So I tell David, I'm like, "Dude, don't sleep there tonight. Like, fuck that. Come crash with me. Like, crash with me as long as you need to until you feel comfortable going back there. Like, it's going to be okay." He's like, "Thank you, bro. I appreciate you." So yeah, me and David end up going back to my place, and we're just kind of kicking it in my living room, playing some video games. And we're just talking about what happened that day. We're just kind of like, retracing our steps and thinking about who it could have been, if it was someone we knew, if it was a random person. And I'm asking David some questions. Because even though this note was really creepy and like super weird, it also kind of seemed like a prank. So I asked David, I'm like, "Yo, is there anyone in your life right now that's like playing tricks on you and shit, like pranks? Because this could very well be a really fucked up prank." And he's like, "Dude, I don't think it's a fucking prank, man. Like, who breaks into someone's apartment and leaves a creepy ass note like that as a prank? Like, who risks jail time as a prank?" And I was like, "Yeah, man, I know it's stupid, but you said it yourself. That window was unlocked. Maybe someone just kind of jumped up there, crawled through it, and did this to fuck with us. Like someone that knows us. Maybe it's your little brother." Because let me tell you, David had a fucking evil little brother. Like, that kid is like 2 years younger than us, and he is straight evil. He's insane. Like, I have stories on stories about this kid. And he's like, "Nah, man, I don't think it's my little brother. Like, I know he's a little piece of shit, but I don't think he did anything like this bad." I was like, "I don't know, man. I'm just assuming things. It wouldn't hurt to call him and ask." So he does. He picks up the phone. He calls his little brother. His little brother answers the phone. He's like, "Hello." And David's like, "Yo, did you fuck with my apartment? Like, you just mess with it?" And his little brother's like, "What? What are you talking about?" And David's like, "Dude, someone went to my apartment while I wasn't home and left me a creepy-ass letter. I'm going to send you a photo of it right now. Like, is this you?" And he sends him the photo while he's on the phone with him. And his little brother's like, "Bro, I think you fucking lost your mind, man. Like, why would I do this?" And he's like, "I don't know, man. I'm just, considering every option, okay?" And David's little brother's like, "Dude, it's not me. Who are you with right now?" And David's like, "I'm with Austin. He's actually the one that suggested I call you because he thought you might be capable of doing something like this." He just completely throws me under the bus. And David's little brother's like, "All right, well, tell him I said hi. Have a good one." And he hangs up. So at this point, David doesn't think it's a prank. I didn't really think that either at this point. Like, the only person I really thought that could have done something like that as a prank would be his little brother, but clearly it wasn't him. But then something happened. After David hung up with him, David's little brother texts me. Like, he hits me up, and he goes, yo. So I reply, and I was like, what's up? He goes, are you with David right now? I was like, yeah, we just called you, remember? And he's like, yeah, go to a different room right now that David's not in and give me a call back. So I go into the other room. I go to my bedroom, and I call David's little brother back. And he goes, yo, are you alone? I was like, yeah. He goes, bro, it was me. I was like, what? Are you fucking kidding me? He's like, yeah, man. Like, I climbed up that little tree. I jumped through his window, and I left that creepy note just to freak you guys out. Don't tell David, though. Like, that's why I wanted you to leave the room. Like, don't tell him about this. I don't want him to find out it was me. I was like, bro, I'm snitching on you. I don't give a fuck. Like, David's freaking out. He called the cops. Like, he's tweaked. He's like, wait, he called the cops? I was like, yeah, bro, you fucking freaked him out. He thought someone broke into his place. He's like, fuck. Don't tell him I did it, man. I want the cops looking for me. I'm like, dude, you're an idiot. And I just hang up the phone on him. And I walk out in the living room. I'm like, David, it was your little brother. He just called me. Like, look. And I show him the call. And I was like, he just admitted it on the phone. Like, it was him. He goes, are you fucking kidding me? I was like, yeah. He goes, that little prick. And he stands up. And I didn't know he was about to do this, guys. Like, I don't know if I would have said that it was his little brother if I would have known that David was about to do this shit. But David picks up his phone and calls the cop back that he just saw. He had his personal cell phone number. He gave it to him. And he goes, hey, officer. Yeah, it was my little brother. Yeah, it was just a prank. But I'm not too happy about it. I still want you to go and warn this motherfucker to never do it again. And I shit you not, he sends the police to his mom's house where his little brother still lives and has them knock on the door and threaten to arrest his little brother if he ever does that again. And he actually did it. Like, the officer really went there and scared the shit out of his little brother. And he made him say sorry to David and me face to face. Like, we met them there. We saw the whole thing go down. And he apologized to us face to face. And yeah, needless to say, David's little brother was very pissed off. Like, after the police left, he looked so angry. But at the same time, he couldn't really do anything about it, because if he did, he knows that they would just come back and probably arrest him. So it was a very dramatic night, to say the least, with a lot of family drama. Like, David's mom came out after the police left and was like yelling at David and his little brother, just saying that they need to like get along better and stop doing this type of shit to each other because it's not funny. And yeah, it was just a dramatic night. But luckily, the good thing is about this story is it wasn't some creepy stranger breaking into his apartment and leaving that creepy note. Like, it could have gone a lot worse, like way worse. I'm just glad that I had the idea that it was probably a prank, and I'm really glad it ended up being a prank, because like I said, if it was like an actual intruder, that shit would have left us with like extreme paranoia and like a bunch of anxiety for days and days and days, if not months. Because yeah, man, I don't want David's first apartment to be a shitty experience. But yeah, guys, moral of the story is, don't fucking do that to people. It's a really messed up prank. Can't just go breaking into people's places. That's not cool. And that's pretty much that. I hope you guys enjoyed this story time. If you did, please leave a like on the video. I'd really appreciate it. Feel free to leave your story times in the comments down below. And subscribe if you're new. See you guys all later. Peace. So it is 7:30 p.m. and I just woke up. You have full permission to roast my schedule in the comments. Please make me get better. Anyway, today's story is a crazy one, an interesting one. All in all, just one that I can't believe is a thing. So I hope you enjoy it, and I've been waiting to tell this for a while, so I'm excited to be telling this one finally. Today's story time is a story that takes place back in 2015. Now, in 2015, I was 16 years old, about to turn 17. It was the summer. All of my friends were off school. I'm pretty sure at this point I had dropped out. I can't remember exactly what month it was, but I'm pretty sure I was dropped out at this point. And I was just enjoying my summer with my friends, right? And I had this friend. Let's just call his friend Brandon, okay? Brandon was someone I've been friends with for a long time. I'd known him since I was 9 years old. I still am friends with Brandon to this day. And the thing about Brandon is Brandon loved to smoke. Smoked weed, smoked cigarettes. And another funny thing about Brandon is his dad was one of like the higher up police officers of the town. Like straight up one of like the top of the top police officers. Like he was busting people all the time, arresting people all the time. The dude was a full blown police officer, so that's what he does. But like it was really hard to smoke with Brandon and have fun and hang out with Brandon because his dad was a fucking cop and we were always looking over our shoulder, paranoid as hell. So one day Brandon hits me up in the summer of 2015. It was a Friday afternoon and I get a text from Brandon while I'm on my computer working on a video. And the text says, yo man, I'm having a party tonight. Obviously you're invited, bring whoever you want. Probably gonna be like 30 or 40 people there, gonna be a big bonfire. It's gonna be a lot of fun. Please come through. To which I replied, I'm like, yeah, dude, don't have to ask twice. Like, I'm gonna be there. I then asked him if he wanted me to bring anything, and he replied with one word. He just said, weed. So I was like, okay, man, I got you. So I went to my friend's house, who was kind of my plug at the time. I bought like an eighth worth. At the time, that was a lot for me. You know, I wasn't about to bring a whole ounce to a party. I didn't have the money to do that. But yeah, I bought this eighth, and a few hours later, I pulled up to Brandon's house, and I had it with me, and I showed him. And he's like, yo, man, like, you went above and beyond. Thank you. And he matched it. He had an eighth as well. And a couple other people from our friend group brought some as well. So there was definitely quite a bit of weed circulating the party, and people were smoking a lot. And I asked Brandon, I was like, yo, where's your dad at? Because usually his dad would come home, you know, early in the night and go to bed pretty early. So I was confused where he was. And he's like, oh, he's with my mom. They're on some, like, getaway for the night. They're at some hotel. I think it's their anniversary or some shit. I don't know. All I know is I'm about to have a good-ass night. I'm like, yeah, man, I feel that. So fast forward a couple hours. A lot of people ended up showing up. I think it was like 40 people total, maybe even more. A lot for people our age. I don't know, 16-year-old having a party. 40 people showing up, that's kind of crazy. Like, it's not like you're 18, 19 and, like, you know, are legally an adult and can, like, you know, do whatever you want. Like, you have to ask for permission when you're 16 and, like, get a ride there. Sometimes, if you don't have a car, like, you know, it's just a lot more difficult to get people to show up to parties when you're younger, I feel like. So anyway, a lot of people end up showing up. The party goes very smoothly. The party was a lot of fun. And then the next day rolls around. I wake up on Brandon's couch. I spent the night there. I woke up feeling very, very dehydrated. I had a headache, felt like shit. You could probably guess why. And I stand up, I go in the bathroom, I wash my face. And as I'm washing my face, I hear someone open the front door. And I hear Brandon's dad go, Brandon, we're home. And I go, fuck, his parents are back. And in my head, I'm just hoping that the house is clean. I don't know if Brandon cleaned before he went to bed. I don't know if he woke up early and cleaned. All I know is that if Brandon didn't clean, the backyard was absolutely trashed, and so was most of the house. I woke up in the living room. No one was really in the living room, so it wasn't that bad in there, but I didn't know about the rest of the house. And then while I'm in there washing my face, I hear his dad scream. Literally, he goes, what the fuck happened here? So I open the door, and I'm like, hey, what's up, Brandon's dad? And he's like, Austin, what are you doing here? I was like, oh, I spent the night. He goes, yeah? Did you have something to do with this? And he points to the kitchen, and it's absolutely trashed, and there's like Pong cups all over the table. And I'm like, yeah, there's some friends that came over last night. I wasn't really playing Pong or anything. I was just on the couch mostly. And he's like, huh, really? I was like, yeah. He goes, feeling okay? You look a little hungover. I was like, no, I'm not. And that was maybe a lie. And he's like, really? You're not high or anything either? I was like, nope, I'm not. That was true. And then he walks around the kitchen a little bit more, and he picks up a roach off the table, the kitchen table, like a half-smoked joint. And he goes, what the fuck is on my table? And his mom's just sitting there in silence, like watching all this happen. And I go, I think that's a cigarette. He goes, no. This is not a cigarette. You know exactly what this is, Austin. Don't bullshit me. And I was like, listen, I promise you it's not mine. And he goes, you know what? Why am I even talking to you? Brandon, get the fuck down here. And like 2 minutes later, Brandon comes stumbling down the stairs, looking the same way I did when I woke up. And he's like, oh, Dad, like you're home. Sorry, I meant to clean. And he goes, you meant to clean? You meant to fucking clean? How about clean right now, or I don't ground you for 2 months? Even better, how about I arrest my own son? And I'm like, shit, man, he's not fucking around. That's all I can think about in my head. And Brandon starts cleaning. I help him start cleaning as well. And then while I'm cleaning, all I can think in my head is like, damn it, why didn't I just go home? Like, I had multiple chances last night to just go home. I could have, like, gone a ride with someone. I could have walked home. I only live, like, a couple miles away. Like, why didn't I just go home? I would have completely avoided all of this. But I was already in too deep. I was, like, the only person that spent the night, so I was in too deep to begin with. So anyway, I'm helping Brandon clean in the kitchen. And about 30 minutes into cleaning, Brandon's dad walks up to us. And he goes, guys, come with me. And he starts walking us upstairs to his bedroom. And me and Brandon are just looking at each other like scared. And we get up to his dad's bedroom, and he walks us in there. He sits us down on the bed, and he's like, all right, listen, I want to talk to you guys about something. Didn't know when we'd be having this talk, but I'm glad we're having it now. I feel like you guys are old enough. Listen, I don't care if you guys smoke pot. I really don't. But don't leave it on my fucking table. Don't leave it in my house. Don't leave it anywhere. I'm a police officer, and if one of my friends sees it or anybody that knows me, I'm screwed. So don't leave it anywhere. If you guys are going to throw a party, whether it's here or anywhere else, hide that shit better next time, okay? And number two, if you're going to be getting it from anyone, make sure you're getting it from someone you trust. And he reaches under his bed and pulls out a shoebox and opens it. And there is just a large amount of weed in there. And he pulls out a bag and hands it to me and Brandon and goes, there you guys go. You didn't get it from me. And me and Brandon just look at each other. We honestly thought it was a test. We literally thought it was a joke and he was testing us. And Brandon goes, no, you can have it back. And Brandon's dad goes, oh, what, you don't smoke now? All of a sudden you're sober? I don't think so. Come on, don't bullshit me. I know you guys are going to keep doing it. Just make sure you're getting it from someone you trust, okay? If that has to be me, fine. But don't say you got it from me. I'd rather help you guys out than have you buy it from some sketchy guy who's going to hurt you at night or try and rob you or, have it laced with something. I don't know. I just prefer this way of all ways. And I'm like, wait, are you saying that, you want us to come to you to get weed? Is that what I'm hearing? He goes, whatever way you want to spin it, yeah, fine. Just don't tell anyone, okay? So Brandon's dad gave us this weed, and we leave his room, and we clean the rest of the house, and I still couldn't believe it. So later that night, before I left the house, I walked up to his dad again. I was like, hey, once again, are you sure you want to, get us weed and stuff? Where are you even getting it from? He's like, I grow it, okay? In the woods in the backyard, I grow it. Don't tell anybody. You and my wife are the only people that know. Even Brandon doesn't. So don't tell him either, because I don't want him raiding it. If you guys just behave and you be a little bit more cautious about where and when you're doing it, yeah, we can keep this a regular thing. I still couldn't believe it. I was like, wait, so you're not kidding? He goes, Austin, I'm going to change my mind if you don't stop asking me that. So yeah, he gave us free weed. That lasted us about a week. And then from that point forward, we would just give him like $20, $40 at a time maybe, and he'd just hook us up from this weed he would grow in his backyard every summer. Now, in the winter, he wouldn't have it anymore, so we'd have to, find other people. But in the summer, he would just hook us up for like 2 years straight. And I think that officially ranks Brandon's dad as the coolest cop I've ever had an encounter with. I've had a lot of cool cops, a lot of shitty cops, but Brandon's dad has to be number one. Dude's the fucking GOAT. It's not every day where you get caught throwing a party and the person's parents reward you. That's just so crazy. I mean, we did clean all fucking day and pretty much into the night. And made everything spotless, but still, not usually the kind of reward you get. But yeah, I've been waiting to tell this story for a long time. I thought it was a crazy one and a fucking just ridiculously funny and insane one. I don't know what words to describe this. But yeah, in the end, everything was good, and Brandon's dad earned a newfound coolness for me. Moral of this story is, don't do any of the things I talked about in this story time. It's for entertainment purposes only. You know the drill. But yeah, guys, hope you enjoyed the story time. If you did, please leave a like on the video. I would really appreciate it. Feel free to leave your story times in the comments down below, and subscribe if you're new. I'll see you guys all later. Peace.
Baby, I'm damaged, I cannot plan this. Won't you be mine tonight? I think I've had it, you're a bad habit, and I don't.
Yo, what's good, guys? It's Austin here, or Luna. So today's story time is a pretty crazy one, pretty good one, and one that I think you guys are going to like. So today's story time takes place exactly a year ago today, and it's a pretty memorable one. I don't think I'll ever forget this in my life. So if you enjoy it, leave a like on the video, and let's jump into it. So today's story time, like I said, takes place 1 year ago today. I was sitting in my room on my phone, pretty tired. I stayed up all night the night before, so I was just on my phone in bed at like 7 p.m., just real tired. And I remember I was kind of excited because the next day was my birthday. My birthday's October 26th. So yeah, tomorrow's my birthday, which is crazy. But yeah, a year ago I was sitting in bed. I was tired. I was excited for my birthday on the next day. And I remember I slowly started to nod off. I kept kind of coming to and then nodding back off and coming to. And then finally I fell asleep. Now, I woke up 2 hours later to a very familiar sound. It was the sound of the iPhone text message. I'm sure you all know what it sounds like. that ding noise. Yeah, it was so loud it woke me up. I usually sleep with my iPhone on silent, but for some reason it was not on silent. And yeah, it woke me up. Now at this point it was like 9:30 p.m. or something. It wasn't even that late at night because I fell asleep so early. And I wake up, I look at my phone, and there's a text message from a random number. And it's a pretty long message, not like a paragraph or anything, but long enough to where like I kind of had to double take and like really read it. And I started reading this message, and I literally had to restart it like 3 different times because I couldn't believe what I was reading. I shit you not, this message read, "Hey Luna, you don't know me, but I know you. I know where you live. I know where you sleep. I'm coming to get you tonight." And when I first read this, like I said, I had to restart it a few different times because I couldn't believe what I was reading. I didn't know whether to laugh at this because it was a joke. I didn't know whether to take it seriously. So I kind of like, thought about it for a second, and I was like, you know what? It's almost Halloween time. It's probably one of my friends playing a fucking trick on me or something. I'm just going to go back to sleep. So I start nodding off again, and then I get another text message. My phone does the ringing noise again. I look up. It's from the same number. And this text kind of scared the shit out of me. It was straight up just my address. Yeah, that first text was a threat saying they were coming to get me and they knew where I lived. And the second text was my address, just proving that this stalker weirdo knew where I lived. So at this point, I actually start freaking out because it's a credible threat. You know what I mean? Like, it's not just some empty threat from some weirdo online who happened to find my number somewhere. It's some dude that actually has my address and is literally threatening to come and, hurt me or something. So yeah, I start having a full-blown panic attack. Like, no matter how many times I've been messed with by people or I've gone through scary things, it never gets any easier getting a message from a random number threatening you and then sending you your address and you don't know who they are. Like, that's just terrifying. So yeah, needless to say, I was instantly awake. I could not go back to sleep. I was terrified. I immediately called up one of my really good friends, and he could tell that I was freaked out because the minute he answered the phone, I was like, "Yo, man, can you come over?" And he was like, "Are you okay?" And I was like, "Nah, dude, someone just sent me a really fucked up text. Like, you gotta come see this shit." And he's like, "What'd the text say?" And I told him kind of briefly what it was. And he was like, "Holy shit, yeah, man, I'll be right there." So my good friend Mike came over, and he stayed the night at my house. And we were both just up all night, mad paranoid, mad scared that some random stalker was going to show up on my front doorstep and fucking try and hurt me or hurt us or something. And yeah, literally all night, every hour, we were peeking out the window, looking through my security cameras, just paranoid. Now it gets to be about 6 in the morning and nothing happens, right? And I am exhausted at this point. Like I said earlier in the story, I pulled an all-nighter the night before this, so pulling another all-nighter with only a couple hours of sleep in between was very, very hard on me. I felt so fucking tired. And Mike saw this, and he saw how tired I looked, and he was like, "Bro, let's go back to my house. You can sleep there for a few hours, kind of just chill out a little bit, not have to worry about this, and then in a little bit you can come back." And I was like, "All right, man." So I get in the car with Mike. We go back to his house. We both take a nap at his house. I slept in the basement. He slept up in his room. And I ended up sleeping for like 5 or 6 hours straight. And I woke up like super disoriented, super confused. And I went upstairs and Mike was sitting there in the living room. And he was like, "Shit, man, I expected you to sleep for like a few hours. You were out for like 6 or 7. I was like, "Yeah, I know." And he's like, "So any other texts, anything weird?" I was like, "Nah, I haven't got any other messages." And he's like, "Do you want to go back home or do you want to stay here for a little bit longer?" I was like, "Honestly, man, I have to go home. I can't leave everything behind because I'm scared of a text message. Like, that's just not practical." He's like, "Honestly, man, if I were you, you should call the police. Like, honestly, you should call the cops and find out who this is because this isn't just some, like, joke or anything. This is a fucked up threat." And I was like, "Shit, yeah, you're probably right." And, yeah, I listened to Mike. I called the cops, like, 20 minutes later, and they came over to Mike's house. I described what happened. I showed him the messages. I talked about, my career and, like, what I do for a living and how I have a lot of followers and how people sometimes say fucked up shit to me. And the police were actually pretty understanding about the whole thing. Now, I ended up giving the police the phone number that the text message came from that creepy stalker motherfucker. I was like, "Yeah, here's his number." And they're like, "All right, cool. We're going to try and find out who sent this." So the next day comes along, right? I don't hear anything most of the day. And then at about 4 o'clock p.m., I get a phone call from the police. And they're like, "Hey, is this Austin?" I was like, "Yeah." And they're like, "Hey, this is Officer blah, blah, blah. You spoke with me yesterday." I searched the number up, and I found out where it was coming from. I actually spoke to who sent the message, and they're at the station right now. "Can you come down and talk to us?" I was like, "Yeah, I'll be right there." So, yeah, I get in the car. I drive over to the police station. I'm nervous, right? Because I'm about to meet face-to-face with this creepy-ass dude who had, the audacity to text me in the middle of the night and threaten me and say that he knows where I live and all this crazy shit, right? And I'm scared. I can't lie. I'm about to meet face to face with a fucking weirdo stalker, right? Like, who knows? It could be some 40-year-old, like some super creepy, like murderer type guy. I don't know, right? And I pull into the police station and I walk in, and the police officer takes me into a room, and I walk in, and there's this lady sitting there who looks like, maybe 40 years old or so, and a little kid who's probably like 12. And the kid has tears running down his face. He looks super, super upset. And the mom also looks really upset. And I was like, hi. And the mom looks at me and goes, Are you Luna? And I was like, yeah, that's me. And she goes, I am so sorry for what you're about to hear. And the police officer starts talking, and he tells me that basically they looked the number up, and they traced it back to this 12-year-old's phone. And yeah, he was the one that sent the message. A 12-year-old kid. And he's looking at me, and he's crying. And I was like, dude, why'd you send me that? Why would you say that? And he's like, I just wanted to be in a video. I couldn't believe it, man. Like, this kid texted me a borderline death threat because he wanted to be in a YouTube video. And I guess a year later he got his wish because I'm making one right now. But I couldn't believe what I was hearing. Like, I really thought it was going to be some, like, older dude or, like, some weirdo that wanted me to, like, actually, get hurt or something. I don't know. But, yeah, this kid's crying, and he said he wanted to just be in a video. And then he starts saying that he's sorry, and he didn't mean it like that. And the mom starts crying, and it's just a very emotional room, right? And the mom stands up and walks over to me and gives me a hug. And she's like, I'm so sorry for what my son did. Like, please forgive him. Please don't get him in trouble for this. Like, I promise you he's a good kid. Please forgive him. And while she's hugging me, I'm just kind of standing there thinking, like, first of all, he's a 12-year-old kid. Even if I wanted to get him in trouble, I probably couldn't do anything about this. He's 12. You can't really prosecute a 12-year-old for a fucked up text message. I mean, I don't know. Maybe you could in certain circumstances, but I don't think in this one I'd be able to anyway. Plus, I didn't want to. I did fucked up shit when I was 12 years old. Don't get me wrong, nothing like that. But still, I could see that this kid was probably just trying to get some attention and get in a YouTube video and not actually try and threaten me. So yeah, I simply sat down at the table with these people. I look at the kid in the eyes and I was like, hey man, listen, just don't do that again. I'm cool with it. It's over. I forgive you. Just please don't do it again. He's like, don't worry, man. Like, I won't. I promise. And I was like, hey, man, I got to ask, how'd you get my phone number? Because, like, I don't know how you got that. He's like, oh, my friend knew you. He's like family with you or something, and he had your number. I was like, wait, what? Who's your friend? And he tells me, and it's one of my fucking cousins. One of my cousins fucking gave this kid my phone number. He's like, oh, you want to talk to Luna? Here's his phone number. So, yeah, I had to fucking get a new phone number and not give it to my cousin because I can't trust him either. But anyway, yeah, I told that kid, don't do it anymore. Don't ever do that again. Not a good thing to do. And he's like, I won't, I promise. And then he told me that he liked my videos and he really likes watching them. I told him I appreciate that. And just next time, maybe tell me that instead of threatening me, trying to get into a video. And yeah, all in all, in the end, everybody was okay. Everything was good. And it was all just a false alarm. But it was a fucking scary one, man. I was terrified. But yeah, the mom ended up giving me a hug and thanking me for not getting her son in trouble. And I was like, yeah, it's no problem. Like, kids make mistakes. It's no big deal. And yeah, that was pretty much the end of it. Here I am a year later. I haven't heard anything about that kid since. I'm assuming he's staying out of trouble and probably learned his lesson from this whole situation. And that's pretty much that. But anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed this story time. Moral of this story is, don't send people threatening messages. That's not okay. And yeah, guys, that's pretty much it. I hope you enjoyed the story time. If you did, please leave a like on the video. I'd really appreciate it. Feel free to leave your story times in the comments down below. And subscribe if you're new. I'll see you all later. Peace.
And lately these changes don't faze me the same as it used to be. 100,000, man, this shit's not new to me. Fuck a bands, I just try to stay true to me.
Alright, what's going on, guys? It's your boy Scrub here, back again with another video. Hope you guys are having a great day. I know I am. You guys really loved when I did that compilation of all the story times for the 4th of July, so I figured I would bring you guys another one to celebrate the start of a new month. If you appreciate
So this story time is definitely a little bit on the funny side. I hope you guys enjoy it. And I really don't know any other way to intro this. Let's just get into it. So, today's story time all takes place in 2017. Great year. I love 2017. The fact that it was over 5 years ago at this point is crazy to me. It feels like it was literally like a year ago. But anyway, yeah, in 2017, I was hanging out with a friend of mine at his house. And let's just call his friend Brian, okay? Brian had a really, really cool house, really nice family. It was just like the place to be. Like, you know that one friend whose house is the best to go to? Not just because it's like big or cool, but like the people there, his family, like everything about it is perfect. Well, Brian had really awesome parents. He had a dad that like was very, very like nice, and he loved camping, and like he was always just really cool to me. And he had a mom that was so chill, like the chillest woman I've ever met in my life. And I never knew why she was so chill. But in this story, I found out. So yeah, it was a weekend. It was 2017. I was hanging out at Brian's house. We were just chilling in his living room, playing some video games. And I didn't really have any plans for how long I was going to be there for. Probably just a few hours. And that was it, right? Nothing out of the ordinary. Well, I ended up staying a lot later than I thought I would. I stayed there till like 11, 12 at night. I was pretty much there the whole day and most of the night. And Brian was like, hey, man, like, I don't mean to kick you out, but I'm getting really tired. I'm going to go to bed soon. I'm like, hey, man, all good. I'll leave. So I get up and I'm looking for my shoes and I can't find them. I'm like, where the hell did I put my shoes? What the fuck? And then I remembered. Me and Brian were out in the backyard earlier in the day, hanging out back there playing some basketball, and my dumbass stepped in a very big puddle and soaked my shoes. So I left them out back to dry. So I go to the back where the porch is. I open the door. I walk out onto the porch. I grab my shoes. They were very much still wet. They barely dried at all. And I put them on. And right after I put them on, I smell something. I'm like, is that me? I smelled weed. And I'm like, did I step in weed or something? Like, what does that smell? And I look left to right. I don't see anything. I even checked the bottom of my shoe to actually see if I stepped in weed. Nothing there. And then I hear a voice from the right go, Austin, are you leaving? And I turn to my right, and in the very back corner of the porch, in the dark, like pitch black, I see like a cherry lit up from a joint. And it's fucking Brian's mom. And I'm like, Brian's mom? Is that you? She goes, yeah, you leaving? I was like, yeah, I'm about to. She goes, oh, you want to smoke? And I was like, did you just offer me to smoke with you? Keep in mind, guys, let me put this in perspective, okay? I was 18 at the time. His mom had no idea, like, that I smoked before or anything. His mom was also the principal of a high school, so, like, I thought she'd be really against that, and she just offered me to smoke. So I walk over, and I was like, is this a trick question? She goes, no, you want to hit? And she holds the joint out to me. And I'm like, if I hit that, are you going to never let me come over again? She goes, Austin, you're a grown man. You can do what you want. I'm not going to yell at you. I was like, I'm just saying, you're a principal of a school, and, like, you're usually chill, but I didn't think you'd be chill with this. She goes, how do you think I stay so chill? You ever think of that? I was like, I guess that's a good point. So I sat down, and I took one hit. I won't lie. I had to do it for the story time. But it doesn't end there. It gets a lot better. So as I'm sitting out there smoking with her, I look over, and I was like, so how long you been smoking for? She goes, 7 years or so. I'm like, really? She's like, yeah, and that's not all I do. I was like, what? What does that mean? I thought she was about to tell me that, like, she does meth or something. She goes, I do a little bit of LSD. I was like, you do what? She's like, yeah, on occasion, like twice a year. I'm like, you are not what I thought at all. She's like, what, like in a bad way? I was like, no, not that. It's just, I didn't think that you did that kind of stuff. I thought you were just really chill naturally. And then right after I say that, the back door swings open, and it's Brian's dad. And he goes, what are you guys doing out here? And I was like, nothing. Because I didn't know if he was going to be cool with it or not. And he goes, don't worry, Austin, I'm not going to bust you. And he sits down and he starts talking to us. Now, he didn't smoke. He told me he didn't like that stuff. And that's fine. But he still sat out there and like talked with us while we had a smoke sesh, me and Brian's mom. So after they both were out there, I asked him, I was like, listen, I got to know. Does Brian know that you smoke? And I pointed at his mom. And she goes, okay, honestly, no, he doesn't. I don't know what he would say if he did know, but I'll cross that bridge when I come to it. I was like, wait, so you mean to tell me that you've been smoking back here for 7 years and he's never walked out once? And she goes, yeah, he's walked out a couple times, but like I put it away really quick, or like, I had just gotten done, so he never sees it. I'm like, oh, well, he must smell it. And she's like, yeah, probably. And then right after she says that, guess who walks out in the backyard? Brian. He walks out in a robe. Like, he took all his clothes off to go to bed, and he puts a damn robe on, and he walks out half naked, and he's like, what's going on out here? I heard voices. And he sees his mom smoking with me, and his dad's sitting there as well, and he goes, I fucking knew it. I knew you guys smoked. And he points at his mom and his dad stands up. He's like, no, Brian, I don't smoke. Just your mother does, and just Austin. And he goes, I know Austin smokes, but not Mom. And she's like, wow, I can't believe it took you this long to catch me. He's like, I always had a feeling. All the late nights you'd spend out here, every time I walked out, it smelled like skunk. I always had a feeling, but this confirms it. And he starts getting mad. He's like, you're a hypocrite, Mom. You know how many times you've busted me for smoking weed and taken it away and confiscated my stuff? The whole time, you've probably been smoking it. And she laughs and goes, I definitely have. And he goes, fuck you, I'm going to bed. And he turns around and he walks inside and just goes upstairs. And I am dying laughing. Me, his mom, and his dad are all dying laughing because, yeah, she literally confiscated his pipes and like took his weed a bunch of times. And every time she did, she was smoking that shit. She wasn't confiscating it and throwing it out or like giving it to the police. She was going out back by herself and getting high. It made my relationship with his parents 10 times better. It just made me die laughing, and it was the best thing in the world to find out, especially in that way. Now you're probably wondering, Austin, what happened? Like, did Brian stay mad at his parents forever? Did they let him smoke weed from that point forward? Yeah, guess what? They didn't care anymore. They let him smoke from that point forward. Like, really, they couldn't stop him anyway. He was still doing it all the time, just behind their back. But now he could do it in front of them, because now the secret was out. Because let's be honest, his mom would look pretty hypocritical after getting caught smoking, still not letting Brian smoke. If anything, it actually strengthened their bond even more, because every time after that Brian would smoke at his house, he didn't have to sneak out anymore. He would just go out back with his mom, and they'd smoke together, and they got even closer than ever before. So I guess in the end, you could say there was a pretty happy ending. But I don't know, I just thought this was kind of a wholesome / funny story time. Not the craziest thing in the world, but it's not every day you get to smoke with one of your friend's parents, and then they all walk out on the back porch, and we just have one big circle, except it wasn't really a circle. It was more like me and Brian's mom, and then like his dad was there for like conversation, and then Brian came out angry about it. But we were sitting in a circle, so yeah, I'm going to call it a circle. But yeah, guys, I hope you enjoyed this story time. If you did, please leave a like on the video. I'd really appreciate it. Feel free to leave your story times in the comments down below, and subscribe if you're new. I'll see you guys all later. Peace. Yo, what's good, guys? It's Austin here, or Luna. So today's story time is a very crazy one. I think you guys are really going to enjoy it. If you do, leave a like on the video, and let's get into today's story time. So today's story time all takes place in my final year of high school. Now, believe it or not, my last year of high school was actually pretty mellow. There was a few things that happened that I've talked about on this channel before, and like some story times, but this one really probably takes the cake for one of the craziest things that happened that year, and one of the dumbest things I've done that year. So, yeah, let's just start this off. So, this all starts off as a normal day in my last year of high school. I woke up, took a shower, got ready for my day. The bus would come and pick me up at 6:30 in the morning, so that fucking sucked. So, I had to get up, shower, be ready by 6:30, get on the bus, go to school, get to school like right before 7, and then class would start at like 7:05 or 7:15 or some shit. But anyway, I got to school, ready for my class. I was fucking super just not in the mood to be there. And as I'm sitting at my locker waiting for first bell to ring to let me know that I have 5 minutes before class, one of my friends walks up to me. Let's just call his friend Jimmy, okay? Jimmy walks up to me, and he goes, "What up, bro?" I was like, "What's up, man? How you doing?" He's like, "Not shit, bored, tired, hungry. How about you?" I was like, "You read my mind, Jimmy. You read my mind." He's like, "Yeah, well, I got some food if you want some." I was like, "What do you got?" And he opens up his backpack, and he's like, "Yeah, we could share something." And he had some Doritos, he had some cookies that looked like they were homemade, he had some other stuff in there, like Rice Krispie treats and shit. And I was like, "Dude, why do you just have like an arsenal of snacks in your backpack all the time?" He's like, cuz, man, I just told you, I'm hungry. And that was really the type of person Jimmy was. He'd just come into school every morning and everyone was asking him for like a piece of gum or a Rice Krispie treat or some cookies or some shit. Like, he just always had snacks on him. And also, one of the reasons Jimmy probably always had food on him is because he was a massive stoner, which means he had the munchies 24/7. So anyway, I picked the cookies out of his backpack, and they looked like they were homemade, like they were in like a little Ziploc bag. And I was like, yo, do you make these? Your mom make them? Like, who made them? He's like, yeah, I made them last night. I didn't even think anything of it. I was like, oh, whatever, like he made cookies. I didn't think to, stop and think about the fact that Jimmy's a massive stoner who makes edibles all the time, and homemade cookies, and Jimmy making homemade cookies just doesn't make any sense, and they probably had weed in them. But I just didn't think anything of it. My stomach was doing all the thinking for me, so I ate one of these cookies. And while I'm eating it, it did not taste like weed whatsoever. So that was kind of like my confirmation that it was a normal cookie, right? So I end up eating 3 of these damn things. 3 of them. And I knew something was wrong when I went to go reach for a 4th one, and Jimmy grabs my hand and he goes, probably not a good idea, man. And I slowly look up at him and I go, Jimmy, why wouldn't it be a good idea for me to have another one? And he goes, cuz, man, 4 cookies for breakfast, like you'll get a stomach ache. I was like, really? That's all? He's like, yeah, man. I'm like, Jimmy, did you put fucking weed in these cookies? Tell the truth. He goes, nah, man, I wouldn't do that to you. Come on. What do you take me for? And I was like, you better not be bullshitting me, Jimmy. I know how you are. He's like, dude, stop. I'm like, okay. So I step back, right? I don't say anything else. I'm like, whatever. And I don't eat the 4th cookie because he told me not to. So at this point, I'm a little suspicious. I can't lie. I'm a little bit worried. But at the same time, Jimmy sounded genuine. He sounded like he didn't put anything in these cookies. Plus, my other friends ate some too. So, like, there's no way they were, like, had weed in them. I wasn't worried. So fast forward to first period. That goes by, no problems. Second period, though. Beginning of second period, things start to get a little bit weird. I sit down in class, and my stomach's feeling a little bit funny. Like it's tingling. Like some weird, like, fuzzy feeling. And, I start looking around, and things don't seem right. Like, I just feel odd. I don't know how to explain it, but, like, I was looking around the room, and it felt like time was moving a little bit slower. And not just, like, how long it took for time to go by. It felt like me moving felt slow. I felt like I was in, like, some slow motion effect. Now, I stop and I think for a second. I'm like, okay, Austin, you're just being paranoid. There was nothing in those cookies. Jimmy's a good dude. He wouldn't lie to you, right? Yeah, wrong. 10 minutes later, I start feeling weirder. I look at the wall, and the wall is a blue color. It's painted blue. And I can see patterns on the wall. Like, straight up, very, very mild visuals of patterns. And that shit used to happen to me when I would smoke too much weed or eat too many edibles. Like, I would actually kind of see things. So I'm like, okay, those cookies were fucking weed cookies. No doubt in my mind. So immediately I get up, I walk up to the front desk, and I was like, excuse me, can I go to the bathroom? And the teacher's like, sure, be quick. So I walk out in the hallway. I walk to the bathroom, feeling very strange. My stomach felt really weird as well because I just ate 3 weed cookies and no other food for the day. I go into the bathroom and I sit down on the toilet and just like sit there and stare into oblivion and hope that I can just snap out of this somehow. So after this, I pull out my phone and I text Jimmy and I go, fuck you, you're a piece of shit. And he replies and goes, ha 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 ha, with a bunch of crying emojis. And that wasn't very nice of him. So anyway, I go back to class. This shit's really kicking in now. Like, I am full blown just fucking obliterated off these edibles. Like, I am looking around the room and everywhere I look, there is legit, like, patterns and shit that I'm seeing. And it feels like I have, like, kaleidoscope vision, if you've ever seen that before. It's like, basically when you see, like, specks in your vision. It happens to me before I get migraines sometimes, or it happens when I smoke way too much weed or do any kind of psychedelic. So, yeah, my body wasn't tolerating this very well, as you can see. And I start panicking. I start having like a full-blown panic attack in the middle of class. And I'm trying to keep it on the down low so my teacher doesn't know, right? So I get up again, and I ask to go to the bathroom again. And the teacher goes, Austin, you just went. What's wrong? I was like, it's an emergency. She goes, okay, fine. Hurry back. So I run back out to the bathroom. I sit down on the toilet. And now I'm feeling really weird. Like my stomach feels strange. It feels like my stomach is literally doing backflips. And I'm just sitting there thinking to myself, okay, I think something's wrong with my stomach. And then right after I think that, I feel it coming up. I can feel the fact that I'm about to throw up. And I'm like, oh, no, not now. Come on, man. So yeah, I had to get on my knees in the public school bathroom and throw up in the toilet. Gross, I know. Disgusting. I don't know what was grosser, the fact that I was throwing up or the fact that I had to put my knees on the school floor of the public bathroom while I was wearing shorts. Yeah, man, not a fun time. Like, do you know what's probably on those bathroom floors, bro? Like, a school public bathroom floor, like, there's probably some germs on that floor that could start the next pandemic, man. Like, seriously. So, anyway, I get up after I do what I had to do. I leave the bathroom, and I feel a little bit better, I can't lie. My stomach didn't feel as strange, but I'm still absolutely fucked. Like, I am still absolutely very much stoned. So I went back to class, finished off the rest of that class, pretty okay. I definitely didn't get any work done, very anxious. Went to the next class, pretty much the same thing the whole way through, just very anxious, felt really weird, just very high and strange. And pretty much the whole rest of the school day I felt odd. The first half of the day was definitely the worst. Like the first, I don't know, 4 periods I'd say were like pretty weird and uncomfortable. But the second half of the day after I ate lunch was a little bit better. But still, like I felt strange all the way until I got home. And like I think it finally wore off around 4 or 5 p.m. Like I ate way too many of those damn things and he put way too much THC in them. Like I don't know, in my experience, usually homemade edibles are kind of like mid and they don't do that much. But these ones, they knocked me on my ass. Oh, and you're probably wondering, what about those other people that ate them, including Jimmy? Well, Jimmy was fine. I guess he just did that on the regular. My other 2 friends, I texted them while I was in school. They were having the same problem as I was, man. They were way too stoned and had no idea what was happening. And pretty much we all just confided in each other all day. We just texted each other in a group chat literally all day, being like, all right, you guys good? Anyone get caught? We good? Everyone feeling okay? Like, that's pretty much all we did. But nothing too out of the ordinary with them either. They pretty much just had the same experience I did, minus the throwing up. But yeah, guys, that's the story of my dumbass friend Jimmy giving me and my friends weed edibles first thing in the morning before school, and how we didn't know for the first 2 hours. So yeah, moral of the story is, don't eat random homemade food from friends that you don't trust all the way. That's for sure. And don't do any of the stuff I talked about in this story time. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, please leave a like on the video. I'd really appreciate it. Feel free to leave your story times in the comments down below. And subscribe if you're new. I'll see you all later. Peace. Yo, what's good, guys? It's Austin here, or Luna. So today's story time kind of reminds me of the old days on this channel where I used to tell, embarrassing story times all the time and just embarrass the hell out of myself and talk about some things that give people secondhand embarrassment. So yeah, I hope you enjoy this story time. If you do, please leave a like on the video, and let's get into what today's story time is about. So today's story time all takes place back in 2016, the very end of 2016 to be specific. I was hanging out with my girlfriend. It was her birthday. Her birthday was in November. Mine was in October. We'd actually both just turned 18. And I was just hanging out with her, celebrating her birthday, right? And we were both finally, legal adults, which was cool. We felt like a newfound freedom, right? Like, we didn't have to worry about our parents telling us when to come home if we were out together. We didn't have to worry about any of that shit. And when I say our parents, I more mean her parents. Because my parents kind of stopped caring about what I did and, my curfew and shit when I was, 17. They pretty much let me become a full-blown adult at 17. To be fair, they didn't really have a choice because I just didn't really let them have one. I kind of just did the opposite of anything they would tell me to do and not listen to them because I was a shithead little teenager. So, don't be like me back then. But, that's just how it happened, right? So, anyway, she turns 18. I'm hanging out with her on her birthday. We were hanging out at her house for a little bit, just hanging out with her parents, talking to them, celebrating her birthday. And then we had plans to go to a really nice restaurant, just me and her, at about 8 o'clock. And 8 o'clock rolled around. We went to the restaurant. We're sitting there. We have our dinner. Nothing out of the ordinary there. Good date, right? Come back to her house after the dinner was over. At this point, it was about 10:30. We get into her house. We walk in. Both her parents are upstairs asleep. Now, her parents had a pretty strict rule about her and her dating, and just her life in general. They basically told her, after they're asleep, no friends or boyfriend in the house, right? They can drop you off, say goodbye, that's it. So, I drop her off. We go inside. I kiss her goodbye, and I turn around to leave, right? And she goes, no, don't leave yet. It's my birthday. I want to hang out with you just for 30 more minutes. I'm like, yeah, but your parents, they'll get mad at me if they know I'm hanging out here too long. She's like, fuck my parents. We're literally both adults. They can't force us to do anything. I was like, yeah, I know, but you live here and I don't want to get you in trouble because you live here still. And she's like, yeah, I get it. 30 more minutes, okay? They won't even wake up. I'm like, okay, fine. So we go down to the basement, right? She had a nice finished basement that you can hang out in. That way we were like 2 floors below them. They couldn't hear us talking or like laughing or anything because that was pretty much our only choice. We either go to the basement or we go to her room, and her room is right next to the parents' room. So we went to the basement, and we get down to the basement, and we're down there watching TV for like 20 minutes just talking and hanging out. And she's like, hey, I'm really thirsty. Can you go grab me a drink out of the fridge? The fridge was up in the kitchen, so I go back upstairs. I open the fridge. I grab some juice out of the fridge. It was this grape juice. I grabbed it. I poured 2 glasses because your boy was thirsty too. And I start going down the stairs with this grape juice. Now, my dumbass wasn't really looking where I was going down the stairs, and I missed a step, and I fell down the last 4 stairs. It wasn't like a serious fall, but I fell and dropped the grape juice all over myself and her carpet. I felt terrible. Now, she immediately runs upstairs, grabs like some cleaning supplies, comes downstairs, cleans off the rug, cleans off my clothes the best she can, but unfortunately, my shirt was white, so it was pretty stained, and even though my shirt was like kind of cleaned up, it got on my skin, like the grape juice, so I was all sticky and gross feeling. She's like, okay, you know what, that's my cue to go home. I'm gonna go home and take a shower. Because like I had grape juice in places where grape juice should not be. Like it was all over my neck. It was a little bit on my face, on my chest. It was just everywhere, man. I'm like, okay, I'm not trying to do this. So I say to her, I'm like, okay, I think that's my cue to go. I'm going to go take a shower. She goes, hey, like, no, just stay like 45 more minutes. I was like, 45 more minutes? It's already been 30. She goes, I know, but like, I'm having fun. It's my birthday. She keeps pulling the birthday card, right? Making me feel bad. So I'm like, okay, fine, 45 more minutes. But like, after that, I have to go. So I sit on the couch with her for like 20 more minutes. And I'm just sticky and I feel gross. And I'm like, okay, you know what? I can't take this anymore. I have to go home and shower. I'm sorry. And I stand up to go get my shoes on and get ready to leave. She goes, hey, why don't you just shower here quickly? That way you don't have to do it when you're home. Like, use ours, then you can go home and just go straight to bed. I was like, okay, do you have any, like, clothes I can change into? Because my shirt's soaked in grape juice and cleaning chemicals. And she's like, yeah, I have an oversized shirt you can wear. So she runs upstairs and finds this, like, oversized vintage shirt she owned that would fit me. She comes back downstairs. That was all I needed because my pants were pretty much okay. Like, they didn't really get spilled on much. And I was good to take a shower, right? Now, I was under the impression that I was going to use her bathroom by myself and just go take a quick shower. So I go in there, I lock the door, and I start getting undressed to take a shower, right? Now, she had a bathroom in her basement. I don't know if I already said that already, but she had like a really nice bathroom in the basement. Her whole basement was like a finished apartment, essentially. Like someone used to live down there, now they didn't, so it was pretty much just free use, right? So I didn't have any worries about her parents coming down or anything because, like I said, we were 2 floors below them. You really couldn't hear anything from the top floor of the house from the basement. Like, it was very much, like, not going to be a problem, right? So I get in the shower. I'm taking a real quick shower. I'm about 2 minutes in. And all of a sudden, I hear the door open. And I'm freaking out, right? I think her parents just came in or something. I look to my right through the glass, and it's my girlfriend. And I'm like, what are you doing? I thought the door was locked. She goes, yeah, I unlocked it. And she shows me the little, like, tool you can use to pop the lock open. And I was like, what are you doing? She goes, I want to shower with you. I was like, is that really a good idea right now with your parents asleep 2 floors above us? Like, listen, I know someone in the comments will be like, oh, L Riz, bro. Like, nah, dude, I'm not trying to get fucking my head chopped off by her dad. Her dad was the type of dude where if he caught us doing anything, he'd probably, like, eat my soul, gouge my eyes out, and then feed me to a pack of hungry wolves. Like, this dude was a savage, so I was not really in the mood to deal with that. But after a couple of seconds of looking at her and talking to her, I kind of started thinking with the part of my brain that's not really more focused on logic and more focused on, like, attraction. So I was like, yeah, you know what? What's a 5-minute shower gonna do? It won't hurt anyone, right? So she jumps in the shower with me. And guess what? A couple minutes later, we hear a knock on the door. Literally like 2 minutes after she hops in with me, we hear a knock on the door of the bathroom. And I hear her dad's voice. And he goes, hey, anyone in there? And I go to yell, yeah, it's just me, I'm taking a shower. But then she yells at the same time. So we end up yelling at the same exact time, giving up both of our fucking locations to this dude, just pretty much admitting that we're both in the bathroom together with the door locked and the shower going. It was a fucking nightmare. After we both said, yeah, it's me, her dad starts freaking out and opens the door and starts screaming at us to jump out of there right now. And we're both, keep in mind, naked, so it's extra awkward, and I'm trying to like cover myself while he's yelling at me. And he's like, Austin, I trusted you. I fucking trusted you with everything. My daughter, and you fucking do this. He was acting like I murdered somebody, dude. He should be thanking me. I was saving him gallons and gallons of water by showering with another person, okay? We were conserving water. There was nothing wrong with that. I'm just fucking kidding, but like for real, he was really mad at me. And yeah, he continued to yell at me, and I got dressed while he was yelling at me, and so did my girlfriend. And then he goes, "What'd you guys do, huh? What were you doing?" And I said the truth. I was like, "We didn't do anything. We were literally just taking a shower." And that was the full truth. Like, we were only in there for like 2 minutes before he came in there. So we weren't doing anything besides just cleaning ourselves. That was it, right? But he didn't believe it. He's like, "Nah, bullshit. You probably been in there for 30 minutes. I'm like, "Nah, man, I swear. Like, I literally just got in there. Like, we just started showering." He's like, "Yeah, okay." And then after I get dressed, he grabs me by my neck, like the back of my neck, and escorts me up the stairs. Meanwhile, while telling me that I should never come back here again, and if I do, he's gonna beat my ass. And my girlfriend's following behind us, yelling at him to stop. And we get up the stairs, and guess who's there waiting for us? Her mom. Of course. Both of them had to catch us. Her mom's sitting there at the top of the stairs in a chair, and she's like, "What's happening?" And her dad told the mom everything, and now both her parents were yelling at me, calling me a scumbag, and her dad kicks me out of the house 2 minutes later. There was so much yelling going on and so much just screaming and bad words being thrown around at me, I can't even remember all them. But anyway, her dad kicks me out of the house, slams the door, locks it behind me, and I'm outside now with wet hair. Pretty much my whole body's still wet. I have clothes on, but I didn't really dry off, so I'm still wet under my clothes. My clothes are getting wet, and I have no shoes on. He kicked me out before I could grab my shoes from the basement, so I was very much cold. And yeah, I got in the car and went home, but it was a very much cold, wet, embarrassing drive home, and the whole time I was just thinking, holy shit, that relationship's probably going to be over soon because her parents now hate me and probably want me gone forever. But I got home after that, texted my girlfriend that I got home. She texted back apologizing for what happened. I told her it wasn't her fault, and just, went to bed pretty much. Now, there's kind of a happy ending. So for about a month, her dad wanted nothing to do with me. Same with her mom. But about a month and a half later, they kind of came around again and forgave me. Don't get me wrong, they were even stricter now about us hanging out, but they weren't calling me bad words anymore and yelling at me and, threatening to beat my ass if I ever came back. So that was good. And her dad realized that I wasn't a total piece of shit like he thought I was. So that's good. I guess that's pretty much it. Moral of the story is, you probably just shouldn't do what I did in this story time unless you own your own house and you're both adults with no one to answer to, because if you live in someone's house who you have to answer to and you break the rules, you tend to get yourself in some trouble. But anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed this story time. If you did, please leave a like on the video. I'd really appreciate it. Feel free to leave your story times in the comments down below, and subscribe if you're new. I'll see you guys all later. Peace.
Be great, will they keep on low like, hey, are they all mad 'cause I did this? Auto-tune on, but they sound like shit. I will never change, yeah, still the same kid, still the same team, even when
Alright, so today's story time is definitely an interesting one, judging by the title. I'm sure most of you know what twins are. If you don't, I don't know how you have made it this far in life. I love how I'm sitting here acting smart, but I actually don't know why twins happen. I have no idea how the genetics work or how the chance works, but yeah, it's when two people come out looking like each other, or they don't at all, but sometimes they're identical, and that's kind of cool. And today's story time is kind of about that. So today's story time all takes place 2 years ago. I was sitting at my house working on a YouTube video, and while editing my YouTube vid, my good friend Nate calls me. I answer the phone. I'm like, "Hello." He's like, "Yo, Austin." I'm like, "What's up, man?" He's like, "What are you doing tonight?" I was like, "Well, I'm editing a video right now, but I'll be done in like 20 minutes. Then I'm free." He's like, "Yo, there's a party going on at my college campus tonight. You want to come with me?" Now, I don't go to college. I'm definitely the age where I should be in college, but I don't because I'm doing this YouTube thing. But he went to that college, and that made me feel a little bit more at ease about going to this college party, because if you go to a college party and you don't know at least one student that goes to that college, I feel like that's kind of weird. You ever see that movie Project X where like there's like that random guy at the party that nobody knows and like they have no idea why he's there? That's kind of what I would feel like if I went to a college party and like didn't know anybody. So anyway, I go to this party with my friend Nate. We get there. It was actually off to a great start. I actually saw two people at this party that I knew from high school, and I had no idea they ended up going to that college. So it was cool to see them again. I hadn't seen them since high school, so I was talking to them, and it was going great, right? Now, while I'm there, I meet this girl, and let's just call her Sarah, okay? I meet Sarah at this party, and she's a very good-looking girl, right? And we get to talking, and then we kind of flirt a little bit, and we end up really hitting it off and having a great night together, right? I feel like everything that I had interest in, she had interest in. Like, we had so much in common. We were also pretty much exactly the same age. I think she was like 2 months older than I was, but, you know, basically the same age, which I thought was cool because most of the people at this party were like a year younger than me, and it made me feel really old for some reason. Like, literally there was tons of people there that were the same age as me, but for some reason the majority were like 1 year younger, and that made me feel old as hell, even though it's 1 year. Anyway, me and this girl ended up talking pretty much the whole night and hanging out, and we ended up kissing at the end of the night, which was cool. And I was having a great time, right? Fast forward a couple weeks later, me and this girl are kind of dating. Not officially yet, but we're going on dates and, you know, hanging out, going to movies and stuff. And we did end up hooking up like once or twice, so that was nice. We basically had a good thing going, right? I didn't want it to get ruined because almost every time that I find myself in a good relationship, something comes along and screws the whole thing up, and I didn't want that to happen. So I was trying just everything on my end to not screw it up, right? Like, I was being the best guy that I could. And obviously, if she wanted to break up eventually, I couldn't stop her. But at least on my end, I didn't want to screw it up. So I was really, really trying to be a good guy because I like this girl, right? Well, unfortunately, a month into us seeing each other, she breaks it off. Didn't really give me a good reason. Just told me like, hey, with college right now, I'm really overwhelmed. I don't really have time for a boyfriend, and I don't want to keep leading you on. So let's just end it here. That's basically what she told me, right? So I can't lie, I felt pretty shitty for like 2 days. I was kind of sad because this girl seemed really cool and I enjoyed hanging out with her. But on the other end, we only saw each other for like a month and we never even like officially put the title on it, like boyfriend and girlfriend. So like it didn't hurt as bad as it could have. If it went on any longer, it might have been a lot worse. But for a month-long thing, I was sad for like 2 days and then I pretty much got over it and went about my life, right? Now, fast forward 2 months, okay? It's been 2 months since I've talked to that girl, 2 months since I've seen her, and about 3 months since the original party that I met her at. And then, of course, on a random Friday night, Nate hits me up. He's like, yo, man, I'm going to a party tonight at my school. You're invited. You want to come with? I can come pick you up. And I was like, I don't know. Is Sarah going to be there? He's like, I don't know, man. Who cares? I'm like, I do, man. I don't want it to be awkward. He's like, it won't be. Just if she's there, avoid her. So I end up going with him. We get there, and an hour into the party, guess who walks in? Sarah. Now, she looks a little bit different than what I'm used to seeing her look like. Like, she had her makeup different styled. She was dressed a little bit differently than what she usually wore. So I was like, oh, okay, well, she's trying new stuff. That's cool. But it was very much still Sarah. You could tell it was her face. And about 30 minutes after she gets there, I didn't want to be awkward, so I go up to her and I say hi. I'm like, hey, how you been? She's like, good. Do we know each other? And I was like, yeah, it's Austin. She's like, Austin who? And I tell her my last name, and she's like, I don't think we know each other. I think you're confusing me for someone else. And I was like, I think it's you. Like, you look the exact same. She goes, maybe you know my sister? I mean, we are twins. And I was like, wait, what? I'm like, is your sister Sarah? She goes, mm-hmm. I was like, no fucking way. She goes, did she never tell you she had a twin sister? I was like, she told me she had a sister and she talked about you a lot, but never said twin. I was like, I don't know how that didn't come up at all. She goes, yep. And she pulls out her phone and shows me a photo of them together recently. And like, it was just so cool because like they literally looked the exact same, but they both had really different styles. So like that's why she looked different, but was still the same looking. I don't know. It was crazy. And I'm sitting here like I've never seen twins before. I'm like, that's so crazy. She's like, yep, people confuse me all the time, especially since we go to the same school. And I was like, yeah, that makes sense. And she's like, anyway, my name's Jocelyn. Nice to meet you. And I was like, cool, nice to meet you. I'm Austin. And then Nate walks up and he's like, what the hell? You look different, Sarah. And I was like, nope, it's not Sarah. It's her twin sister, Jocelyn. He goes, wait, Sarah has a twin? I was like, yep, she has a twin. He's like, how have I never known this? I've known her for like a year. And I'm like, yeah, man, I don't know. She didn't tell me either. And Jocelyn's like, yeah, she doesn't tell people because she knows I'm the cooler one. And I start laughing, and Nate starts laughing. And we all just start talking, right? Now, after a couple of minutes, Nate walks off to go hang out with his friends and leaves me with Jocelyn. And we end up hitting it off and, like, talking for, like, a good hour and a half. There was definitely like some flirtatious vibes kind of going on, but at the same time, I felt super guilty because like Sarah was someone that I really liked, and now I'm talking to her twin sister, and like I don't know, I just didn't want to ask her out or anything because I would feel guilty because like I don't want to be that dickhead that's jumping from the one girl to her twin sister. Like that just seems really messed up, right? So we talked for like an hour, and I kind of start to realize that I should probably stop talking to her and go our separate ways because, yeah, I'm just starting to feel guilty. So as soon as I'm about to say like, hey, it was nice meeting you, I'm gonna go find my friends and just like cut shit off after an hour, she goes, hey, like I really like talking to you. We should hang out sometime outside of this party. And I was shocked. I'm like, yo, she asked me out. I felt all special. And yeah, I caved. I was like, okay, that sounds awesome. But then I realized, I'm like, shit, Sarah. So I was like, listen, before we hang out, Jocelyn, just to let you know, me and your sister, like, kind of saw each other for like a month. And we never officially dated, but we were basically dating. And she's like, it's okay. I won't tell her. But if I were you, I wouldn't tell her either. Because if she finds out, she will lose it. So yeah, me and Jocelyn kind of started dating as well. This one was actually a lot more serious than the one with Sarah. Like, it was actually a legit relationship. Like, we literally, like, started dating and called it boyfriend and girlfriend. And we saw each other for 4 months. So it was a lot longer than me and Sarah. And we hung out a lot for those 4 months. Went on lots of dates. She crashed at my house a few times. I crashed at her dorm a few times. And yeah, I will say, dating her was a lot more fun. I won't lie. She just seemed a lot more outgoing and had a much more vibrant personality. Not trying to shit on her twin sister and be like, oh, she was boring. But like, I just had more fun with Jocelyn, right? Now, we hooked up many times, hung out many times, dated for 4 months straight. But unfortunately, on month 4, it all came to an end. We were literally just sitting there on a date one night at a restaurant, enjoying ourselves, and we got into some really stupid argument about one of our mutual friends, about something that had nothing to do with us. We were literally arguing about someone else's relationship, and she ends up going, well, if you can't agree with me on this, then like maybe we shouldn't even be dating. And I was like, how could you say that? And she's like, seriously, I'm being serious. So we ended up breaking up for like 2 weeks. Then we got back together. And a few days later, we broke up again because she got into some like crazy overseas studying program and was going overseas to do schoolwork and was going to be there for like 3 months. And she just wanted to be single and not have to do long distance. And I agreed. And we broke it off officially right then and there. And that was like our last time talking. And that was that. But yeah, it was a fun relationship. Short-lived, unfortunately. But what are you going to do? That's life sometimes. But yeah, guys, that's pretty much the end of the story time. Thought it was kind of a crazy one. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please leave a like on the video. I'd really appreciate it. Feel free to leave your story times in the comments down below. And subscribe if you're new. I'll see you all later. Peace.
I'ma be great, will they keep on low like, hey, are they all mad 'cause I did this? Auto-tune on, but they sound like shit. I will never change, yeah, still the same kid, still the same team.
Okay, I'm sure after reading the title, you've probably realized already that this story time is quite the interesting one. I hope you guys enjoy it. There's really no way to intro this other than that, so let's get into it. So today's story is about the time that my grandma accidentally ate an edible. Yeah, let's do it. So today's story time all takes place 4 years ago, okay? It was Christmas time to be specific. I love Christmas time. It's a beautiful time of year. The snow was on the ground. The snow was falling. It was really cold out. And me, my mom, and a couple other of my family members, my brothers and stuff, we were all going on a road trip a couple hours away to spend Christmas and New Year's with my grandma. So I was excited, right? Hadn't seen my grandma in a long time. She's a cool lady. I was excited, right? So me, my mom, my brothers, we all get in the car, and we start our 2-hour-long road trip. We get to Grandma's house 2 hours later. We say hello to her. We go inside. She shows us the rooms we'll be staying in. I had my own room. I was stoked on that. I unpacked my stuff. And I was excited for a couple reasons. One, I like Christmas. It's a cool time. And two, I had a friend that lived on the same street as my grandma. We'll just call him James. I met him from visiting my grandma every couple years. And he was always her neighbor pretty much. So pretty much every time I would go visit my grandma, I would also hang out with James at least once or twice while I was there, sometimes more. And it was cool. He was like a year older than me, so we were pretty much the same age. And it was just nice to have a familiar face in the town that my grandma lived in, because I didn't know anybody else besides my family there. So anyway, I got to my grandma's house, unpacked my stuff, laid down for a little bit because I was tired, woke up like an hour later, and then I texted James. I was like, yo, it's good, man. I just got here. Are you around? He's like, yeah, man, let's kick it tonight. So, an hour later, I went over to James's house. Now, James's house was pretty awesome. He was home alone most of the time because both of his parents worked full time. So, pretty much every time I go over there, I'd never see them. I maybe only met them like twice. So, when I went over there, no surprise, his parents were not there. And we're just hanging out there in the kitchen, just talking, catching up. And he's like, yo, man, so I made some edibles last night when my parents were at work. You want to try some with me? And I had nothing going on that night. It wasn't Christmas yet. So I was like, you know what? Why not? So me and James ate like 2 of these edibles and had a very great time, honestly. I didn't really have like a bad experience like I usually do. It didn't upset my stomach like it usually does. And they were very well-made, easygoing edibles, right? Like 2 of them got me where I needed to go. They weren't too powerful because usually 2 of them would knock me on my ass. They were just perfect, right, in every way. But it's not that makes this story time. It's a few hours later. So after I get done hanging out at James's house, I said goodbye. I told him thank you for the edibles. And he's like, yeah, man, you want to take some home with you? I was like, really? He's like, yeah, man, of course, you're the homie. I'm like, sweet, let me pay you for them. He's like, nah, man, they're free, on me. I'm like, oh, shit, man, thank you so much. He's like, yeah, man, no problem. So I take some of these cookies. That's what they were cookies. And I broke them in half so they would fit in a bag easier because they were pretty big. And I put like 4 of them in a bag and put them in my back pocket. And I brought them back to my grandma's house and put them in my suitcase. Now, I purposely put these edibles in like a very small pocket at the top of my suitcase where no one would find them because I knew that they were cookies and people would probably eat them since it was Christmas time. They'd probably think that like they're Christmas cookies or something. So I was like, yeah, I'm not letting anyone eat these. So I purposely put them in a pocket that no one would find them. I'm like, I don't want people to find these and think they're just regular cookies. So I'm keeping them here in the suitcase. And I also thought no one would go in my room, right? The room I was staying in at my grandma's. So fast forward the next day, I'm hanging out at dinner with my family, my brothers, my mom, my grandma. We're all hanging out. And it's the day before Christmas. It's Christmas Eve. And my grandma says at the table that she isn't feeling very good. And I was like, really? She's like, yeah, I don't know. I'm like a little bit nauseous and I'm a little dizzy. And I was like, oh, that's not good. Like maybe you should go lay down. She's like, yeah, I'm gonna. So she gets up from the table and she goes and lays down. And now I'm worried about her, right? I'm like, oh, like I hope my grandma's okay. Because, you know, she's older and, you know, she's at that age where things can pop up that aren't good. So I was really worried that, you know, something might be seriously wrong with her, like a heart problem or like anything that can happen with old age. I was worried about her, right? So like 30 minutes later, after dinner, I go upstairs and I check on my grandma. I go in her room and I was like, hey, grandma, how you feeling? And she's giggling like a little girl reading a magazine. And I was like, what's so funny? She's like, oh, you got to read this. And she hands me the magazine. And it's like not even funny at all. Like it's a stupid like beauty magazine. And there's not even a joke on the page. Like there's no joke to laugh at. I don't even know what she was laughing at. So I asked her, I'm like, what were you just laughing at? And she goes, oh, just read the whole thing. It's all funny. I'm like, Grandma, it's a beauty magazine. And she's like, just dying laughing. And at this point, I'm like, okay, something is wrong with my grandma. What happened? So I ask her, I'm like, Grandma, are you feeling okay? She's like, yeah, I was a little bit nauseous earlier, but I'm good now. And I'm like, okay, is the dizziness gone? She's like, yeah, it's pretty much gone. I'm like, okay, that's good. And she goes, I think I'm going to try and get some sleep, okay? I'm like, okay, sounds good. And she pretty much kicks me out of her room in a nice way. So I leave, and I'm thinking, you know what? My night's pretty much over now. My grandma's okay. Dinner's over. I'm going to eat one of those cookies and go to bed. So I go into my room. I open the suitcase, and the cookies are gone. The bag, everything, missing. And then it clicks in my head. Grandma ate the fucking cookies. Like, it just explained everything. The giggliness, the dizziness, the nausea. Like, it all sounded like my grandma ate too many edibles or something. So immediately, I run back to her room. I knock on the door. I open it. I'm like, Grandma, did you eat those cookies in my suitcase? She goes, yeah, you thought you could bring treats without telling me? Come on. And I was like, Grandma, you don't understand. Like, they weren't just normal cookies. And she goes, what do you mean? And then she immediately gets this look in her eye. And she goes, oh, they were pot cookies? I was like, yes, Grandma. That's why I had them in my suitcase all broken up like that. She goes, oh, I thought they tasted funny. Honestly, I should have stopped eating them. I'm like, Grandma, please don't tell me you ate all of them. She goes, no, only a couple. I'm like, okay, where'd the rest go? She's like, oh, your mom had the rest. I was like, you gotta be fucking kidding me. So I run out of her room, I run downstairs, I find my mom. I'm like, Mom, those were pot cookies that you ate earlier with Grandma. They're not normal cookies. And she looks up at me and I see her eyes and they are so red. And she goes, yeah, honestly, I figured after I ate them, they tasted kind of funny, like the aftertaste. And when Grandma said she was feeling strange, I also felt a little strange, so it all makes sense now. And I was like, are you gonna be okay? She's like, yeah, it's okay. And for some reason, she wasn't mad at me. I think that was probably the weed cookies talking, like the edibles. But like usually, she'd be pretty pissed at me. And my grandma was also pretty fine. So that was good. No one was mad at me about it. But then I was confused. I was like, wait a minute. Why the fuck were you guys going through my suitcase? And my mom goes, oh, I needed toothpaste. I didn't bring mine, so I was looking for yours. And I found them. So I ate a couple and so did Grandma. I was like, okay, next time, if you ever find any cookies or brownies or anything that's homemade looking in my suitcase, don't touch them. She goes, yeah, I know. Lesson learned. I forgot who I'm dealing with. I was like, thank you. Now, the rest of that night, luckily, my grandma and my mom were both fine. They actually had a pretty good experience. Besides that beginning part where my grandma was a little bit dizzy and nauseous, that wore off, and she actually had a very good time, and so did my mom. So I guess that's good. There was definitely a happy ending, but I was anxious the whole fucking time. I was so scared that, like, my grandma was going to pass out or some shit. But yeah, guys, moral of this story is, don't go snooping through people's things, and also, if you find some homemade goods in someone's suitcase that smell a little bit like weed, don't eat them. You might end up like Grandma Luna. But yeah, guys, hope you enjoyed this story time. I thought it was a pretty good one. If you did, please leave a like on the video. I'd really appreciate it. Feel free to leave your story times in the comments down below. And subscribe if you're new. I'll see you guys all later. Peace.
Baby, I'm damaged, I cannot plan this. Won't you be mine tonight? I think I've had it, you're a bad habit, and I don't want.
Yo, what's good, guys? It's Austin here, or Luna. So I have a wild, wild story time to tell you guys today. It's about an event that I went to a while back. Judging by the title, I'm sure you can see that. But yeah, the story time takes place a while ago, and I can't believe I haven't told it yet. I thought for the longest time I had already told this story, but looking through my channel today, I realized I didn't yet, so I had to tell it. So today's story time all takes place in 2017. 2017, great year. A lot of cool things happened, a lot of fun things, a lot of story times happened, both good and bad. But this one was kind of a bad one, so yeah. This all starts off as a normal day. I was in my hotel in 2017. I had just gotten there and checked in with a couple of friends. It was VidCon time. I was looking forward to going to the event, just meeting a bunch of other awesome YouTubers and meeting my supporters and just being able to see you guys. I was excited, right? There was just a lot going on that I was very excited about, right? So yeah, like I said, I got to my hotel with a few of my friends. We checked in, and I didn't know this, but I had picked the hotel that apparently everybody in the whole damn city that was going to VidCon also picked. So like tons of people that I knew were there, like YouTubers, tons of supporters were staying there. Like when I was checking in, I got recognized like 3 times, which was great because I love meeting you guys. But also, that also meant there was just a lot of people there, like tons and tons of people. So every time I'd have to get through the lobby or use the elevators, there was a ton of people. Now you're probably like, Austin, why are you telling us that? It's an event. Of course it's going to be crowded. Yeah, well, this hotel was extra crowded, and you'll hear why that became a problem later on in the story. So anyway, the first day of the event was awesome. I met a ton of supporters. I took pictures of people. I talked to a lot of people, met a lot of my favorite YouTubers as well. It was just everything I expected VidCon to be, right? Also, crazy thing that no one knows really, if you were on the internet in 2017, you probably saw that video of the kid cussing out the security guard at VidCon. I remember it was on like all these news sources and shit, but this kid went to a security guard and like cussed him out and said all these horrible things to him. Pretty sure his name was Christian Burns. If you haven't seen the video, you can go watch it. But the reason that happened was like accidentally my fault. I think it was day 2 that it happened. I was walking out of the hotel and he was in the parking lot and he's like, yo, Luna, I watch your videos. And I was like, oh shit, man, thank you. He's like, yeah, man, where you heading? I was like, to the event across the street. He's like, oh shit, man, me too. Can I go with you? I was like, yeah, why not? So he followed me across the street to the event, and when he went to go in with me, he got stopped at the door because he didn't have a pass to get in because he never bought one. I didn't know that. I thought he was just some dude that was also attending VidCon, but he was just sneaking in, I guess. Like the whole time the event was going on, I guess he was getting in and out by sneaking in and out. And that time he got caught and just cussed out the security guard. And if you look hard enough in the back of the video, you could see me in my purple fucking camo shirt watching it go down. Here I am thinking like, oh, this kid was like a supporter and he also happened to be like a live streamer or something. And then we go to the event and he just becomes an evil demon the minute he gets stopped at the door for not having a ticket to get in or a pass. I don't know, man. Sometimes I just think about that and I'm like, yo, if I was never walking out of my hotel at that time, like that specific time of day, then that probably would have never happened because he was literally walking into the hotel and then he bumped into me when I was walking out. He's like, oh, you're going to VidCon? Like, can I go with you? And if I would have just said no or like never bumped into him, he probably would have went up to his hotel and then like waited a little bit to go back to the event and that video probably would have never happened. But maybe it would have. I don't know. I don't know what the universe had planned. Anyway, I digress. I'm getting sidetracked. But I thought that was a cool little side story in the story. You know what I mean? So anyway, fast forward a little bit. VidCon was going great. The first 2 days were great. No problems. Everything was perfect. Besides that little bump in the road with the security guard thing and witnessing that, VidCon was going pretty smooth, right? So anyway, fast forward. After day 2, first 2 days of VidCon went pretty smooth. Things seem to be going good. I leave the convention center and the event's over for the day, and me and some friends go and get food. We go to this bar nearby. We grab food. We end up eating there for like an hour and a half, 2 hours, and then after that we head back to the hotel. Now, everybody I was with was staying at the same hotel as me. They weren't staying with me. I had my own room by myself, but they all had rooms on other floors. So I get in the elevator with them after we get back to the hotel, and we start going up to our floors. I'm saying goodbye to my friends one by one, and I was the last person on the elevator because my room was on the highest floor. And that isn't a flex. I just got lucky, and the hotel put me on a higher floor, so I had a cool view. That was cool. But anyway, I was last on the elevator. I get to my floor. The elevator opens up, and I hear a bunch of voices in the hallway. Like, it sounds like there's at least 5 to 6 people talking in the hallway, pretty loud, and they sound kind of drunk, like they're partying or something, which is to kind of be expected at these events. Like, people are all over the hotels afterwards partying, and I look like shit, right? Like, I was out all day. I was exhausted. So when I get out the elevator, I put my hood up, right? Because I know I'm about to walk by a bunch of people, and I don't want them to see me looking like shit. So I put my hood up to kind of hide my face. And as I'm walking by them, almost all of them immediately stop talking at the same time and go silent. And it kind of freaked me out because I'm like, oh shit, why are they like silent? Like, am I that weird looking? Like, what the fuck? But I ignore it. I keep moving, and I'm almost at my hotel room. I'm like 4 doors down, about to be there. And all of a sudden, I hear footsteps coming up behind me very fast. And I go to turn around to see who's running at me. And before I can turn around, I get striked in the back and thrown down. Like, whoever this dude was, he like jumped up in the air and like grabbed my back really hard with all his force and threw me down. Like, he basically hit me and threw me down at the same time. And it was a lot of force, bro. That shit fucking hurt. And then this dude like rolls me over on my back, and a bunch of other dudes run over, and they start fucking smacking me, dude. Like, they start punching me in the fucking head and shit. And I'm sitting there like, yo, what the hell did I do to deserve this? Like, I didn't piss anybody off today. I didn't do anything to anyone. Why am I getting jumped at a hotel? And they end up punching me like 2 or 3 times before one of them goes, yo, 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 stop, stop, stop. And they all get off me. And the dude goes, it's not him, it's not him. And they all just turn around and run away in the opposite direction as fast as they can. And I stand up and I'm like, what the fuck just happened? Now, obviously, I kind of knew at this point what happened because he said it's not him. That kind of confirmed that they thought I was someone else, and they were jumping me because they probably thought I was someone they had beef with, but it wasn't me, and then they found out and ran away. I'm assuming the dude that said it's not him was the actual person that had beef with whoever looked like me, and his friends were just helping him out, and they didn't actually know what the person looked like at all because they were just beating me up with no care in the world until that guy said it's not him. So anyway, they run away, and they get on the elevator and leave, and I'm just standing there in the hallway, in the middle of the hallway, like, just fucked up. Like, what the hell just happened? And I'm like, okay, I have 2 choices here. I can either go downstairs and tell the front desk, hey, I just got jumped in the hallway, and you should probably, like, do something about it. Or 2, I could be like, you know what? Water under the bridge. I'll go to bed. Yeah, dude, I chose bed. I literally just scanned my little key card thing at my door, went inside, and fell asleep like 10 minutes later. Well, it doesn't end there, okay? I wake up about 2 hours later to a knock on my door, and I hear, security. And I'm like, okay. So I open the door, and there was just a 6'2", like, jacked security guard with one of the hotel managers standing there. And the hotel manager goes, hey, sorry to wake you, but we got some noise complaints last night about people being loud out here. So we checked the cameras early this morning, and we saw that, there was a little bit of a fight, and we saw that you got attacked by some people. And I was like, yeah, that did happen. And she's like, yeah, did you know these gentlemen? Was it random? Like, what happened? And I was like, I didn't know them at all. Like, I swear on everything. I literally just came home from the bar, got jumped, and then went to bed. And she goes, why didn't you tell anybody? I was like, honestly, I was so tired that I was like, you know what? Fuck it. And I just went to sleep. And she goes, okay, well, we don't know who they were. They were not guests. They did not stay here. They had no rooms here. I don't even know how they got to the floor. We're assuming they knew somebody here. We're trying to figure that out. The police have already been alerted. They saw the footage. If they find out who these guys are, like, you'll be the first to know. And I was like, okay, cool. Like, good to know. She goes, all right, cool. Well, I'm sorry to disturb you. And if you need anything, let me know. Your stay here is going to be free. I was like, oh, you don't have to do that. She's like, no, it's fine. It's on us. I'm like, oh, well, thank you so much. She's like, yeah, no problem. Have a good sleep. And she, like, leaves with the security guard. And I'm like, what is going on? Like, what the hell? So the good news is I got my ass beat a little bit, but at least I didn't get seriously hurt, and I got a free stay at a hotel out of it. Like, yeah, I may have gotten jumped, but the good news is, like, silver lining, not all 5 or 6 of these guys were the ones that beat me up. It was only a few of them, like 3 of them were hitting me. And the other ones just watched, and, one of them stopped them pretty quick, so I didn't take as much of an ass beating as I could have, and at least out of the punches I got hit with, every punch was like a free night in the hotel, I got a free stay. Nah, but for real, I probably should have just told the security right away when it happened. I don't know why I decided to just go to sleep, but I did. Anyway, the next morning was pretty funny. I woke up, my friends came up to my room, they're like, hey man, how'd you sleep? I was like, pretty good, man, I knocked out quick last night. No pun intended. They were like, what? I was like, well, when I was coming to my room, some kids, like, beat the shit out of me randomly. And my friend's like, are you fucking kidding me? I was like, no, man, like, a bunch of dudes, probably, like, between the ages of, like, either 18 and 20, just kicked my ass really fast. And they're like, no way. I'm like, yep. And then they ran away when they found out I wasn't who they were looking for. And they're like, what the fuck? Did you call the cops? I'm like, no, the hotel did. They're like, oh, shit, well, let us know if they find him. I'm like, yeah, I will. And guess what? 2 days later, I got a call from the hotel and the police saying that they found him. Now, they didn't find all of them, but they found 3 of them. And 2 of which were the ones that were, like, punching on me. And the other one was the guy that actually said it's not him. So there was still a missing person that was punching me. Because, like I said, it was like 5 or 6 dudes. So they only found like half of them. And guess how old they were? One was 17, and the other one was 16. So I got my ass beat by some young teenagers. I don't know why I'm saying that like I'm 40 years old. At the time, I was literally 18. But hearing that they were like younger than me made it hurt more. I don't know. But also it made me happy I didn't back because they were kids technically. And if I punched them, I could have gotten in trouble. Maybe. I don't know. It probably still would have been self-defense, but I don't know. I don't know the legality of everything. But either way, they asked me if I wanted to like go forward with pressing charges. I said no. And you're probably like, Austin, why the fuck wouldn't you do that? I'll tell you why. I was traveling a fuck ton at this time, and I thought that if I pressed charges, I would probably have to come back to that area and like maybe go to court or something. I don't know if that's even how it would happen. That was just at the time my 18-year-old brain was like, oh, I don't want to have to come back here for like a court case or something and like have to fight these kids and press charges. So I just didn't do it. Also, I didn't really care. I didn't get that hurt. Like I got punched a couple times, but I didn't have a black eye. I didn't break my nose. I didn't break any teeth. Like I felt fine. And they're just dumbass kids that were attending an event, probably drunk and stupid. So I was like, you know what? Whatever. I don't fucking care. So I didn't press charges. Should I have? Looking back, maybe, probably should have. They probably would have learned their lesson a little harder. But at the same time, I didn't care, and I was 18, and I just had the whole world in front of me. So I was like, fuck that. I don't care. They still got punished though. They got talked to by the cops. Their parents got notified, and also the hotel banned them from ever staying there at all of their like locations, which is a huge hotel chain. So yeah, that sucks. But yeah, guys, the moral of the story is don't beat up people. That's not nice. If that ever happens to you and you get in a situation like in this story time, you should probably call the cops and not ignore it like I did, because that was a pretty stupid thing to do. But yeah, guys, I hope you enjoyed this story time. I thought it was a crazy one. If you did, please leave a like on the video. I'd really appreciate it. Feel free to leave your story times in the comments down below, and subscribe if you're new. I'll see you guys all later. Peace. Yo, what's good, guys? It's Austin here, or Luna. So, today's story time, judging by the title, is a pretty damn good one. I think you guys are really going to enjoy it. If you do, leave a like on the video, and let's jump right into today's story time. Now, today's story time takes place 5 years ago, so quite a while ago. And 5 years ago, I feel like I was peak, idiot, if that makes sense. I don't know. I feel like I just did a lot of stupid stuff back then that I wouldn't do today. And a lot of good stuff, too, obviously. Like, 5 years ago, I was daily uploading, and that's clearly hard for me to stay on top of now. But I'm trying my best. But 5 years ago, I also was getting into a lot of just stupid stuff. I feel like that's where I got a lot of my story times from. So this all starts off as a normal day. I'm sitting in my room 5 years ago on my phone, just woke up. It's a new day. It was warm outside. It was summer. And I was really, really excited because I was hanging out with two of my friends this day. We had plans to go see a concert that we had been waiting for like 2 months. And everything was just amazing, right? It couldn't have been a better start to the day, right? So I get up out of bed, I take a shower, I get ready for my day. I get a text from one of my friends, one of the people I was going to be hanging out with later that day. And he's like, yo, man, what time do you want me to pick you up? I was like, honestly, man, I'll be ready in like 45 minutes, so whenever is good with me. So about an hour later, my friend pulls up. I get in the car with him. I got all my stuff I need for the concert. And at this point, we just have some time to kill. So we go get some food. Me and my friend are just hanging out. And after we get food, we're hanging out, listening to some music, driving around. And he turns the volume down and he looks at me and he's like, yo, man, you still smoke? I was like, smoke what? He goes, what do you think, dumbass? And I'm like, I don't know, man. Smoking can mean a lot of things. Cigarettes, weed, other stuff, crack. He's like, no, not crack, you fucking idiot. He's like, weed. I was like, hey, man, I don't know what you do with your free time. He's like, no, dumbass, weed. Do you still smoke? I was like, not that much nowadays, but a little bit here and there, yeah, on special occasion. He's like, okay, well, is today a special occasion? You want to smoke? I was like, today is definitely a special occasion. Of course I will. And he's like, that's what I like to hear, man. I love it. So my friend pulls off to this random parking lot of some random building, and I could tell immediately upon pulling into this building that my friend went in through the back entrance. It was not the front because there was no cars in this parking lot, but if you look around the side of the building to the front, there was a lot of cars up there. So I could tell that we were in the back parking lot, which is good. That means no people to bother us, and that means, a safe place where no one's going to see us. Now, this building looked kind of odd. It kind of looked like a school at first, but then after looking at it and seeing the shape of it, I was like, nah, that's not a school. It's too small. But then after that, I didn't think much of it. I was like, you know what? We're in the back parking lot. No one's back here. No one's going to see us. Everyone's up front. We'll be fine, right? So my friend turns around, grabs his bong, starts packing it. And while he's packing it, I look at him and I was like, hey, man, what is this place? He goes, dude, I have no idea. It was just the first empty parking lot that I could see, so I pulled into it. And I was like, all right, man. And I didn't really think much of it because I'm like, you know what? We'll be quick. It'll be like 5 minutes and we'll be out of here. No big deal, right? So he hands me the bong. He lets me get first hit. I take a hit. I hand it to him. He takes a hit. And we end up sitting in this parking lot, listening to music and smoking for 10, 15 minutes. And we hotbox the shit out of his car. It gets to a point where it is filled to the brim with weed smoke. So much that it's hard to see out the damn window towards the end of this, right? So finally we finish smoking. The car is still filled with smoke, don't get me wrong, but we're done. We're not adding to it anymore. And all of a sudden, I look to my right out the window, and I see a man approaching the car. Now, I get paranoid in any situation where a guy's approaching my car, and we just got really high because I can't think straight because I'm high. And I look at my friend, and I tap him on the shoulder. I'm like, yo, someone's coming to the car. So immediately my friend puts his car in drive and we start to drive away, right? Because we think it's just some random guy. We'll just drive off. No big deal, right? We figured this guy was coming out to yell at us or something, right? For being in his parking lot. So we wanted to get out of there, right? But then as he got closer and we're starting to drive off, I realize it's a fucking cop. And I'm like, yo, that's a cop. And my friend goes, what? And he slams the brakes, right? Because he didn't want to run away from a cop in case his plates were already, shown on the cameras or the cop saw them. So he slams his brakes, rolls the window down, and when I say smoke poured out all over the place, it literally looked like a fucking mushroom cloud when my friend rolled down the windows. Smoke just poured out everywhere. So much that when the cop walked up to the car, he stepped back and was like, whoa, someone was smoking in here. And I just say nothing. And my friend looks at the officer and just completely ignores what he says and goes, what's up, officer? Can I help you with anything? And the police officer goes, no. Can I help you with anything? You guys were parked out in the back of our station. Wondered if you guys needed some help or something. And it took me a couple seconds to hear what he said, but then I realized it, and I think to myself, did he just say station? And my stupid high ass looks up at this officer and goes, Did you just say station? He goes, yeah, buddy. I said station. You guys are outside of our police station here. And he says the town name and the police department. And I was like, oh, sorry about that. And my dumbass was acting so stupid. I was just giving away the fact that we were high. I mean, it was already kind of a giveaway because, like, we rolled the windows down and smoke poured out. But me acting the way I was just an even more dead giveaway. But anyway, then my friend speaks up and he goes, yeah, I'm sorry, officer. We were just trying to find some directions somewhere. We parked over here for a second to figure it out. And the officer goes, yeah, where are you guys going? And my friend goes, oh, just the grocery store. Just making up shit on the spot, right? And the cop goes, oh, the grocery store. Well, there's one literally 2 miles down to the left if you want to go to that one. And he says the name of it. And my friend goes, thank you so much. And the cop goes, yeah, no problem. Before you guys go, is it cool if I see some ID? Now I start to get worried, right? Because now it's like actually becoming a thing. Like at first it was just me and this cop and my friend having a little interaction. But now he's asking for ID, which usually means he's looking into us. So we give him our IDs, we give him our names, and then the cop comes back. And he goes, all right, listen, guys, I'm about to let you go. Here's your IDs back. And he hands us both of our IDs. And I'm excited, right, on the inside, because he says he's about to let us go, which means we're not going to get in trouble. We're about to leave and go pick up our other friend and go to this concert and have fun. But then right after he hands us back our IDs and he says he's about to let us go, he goes, one last quick question. You guys got any marijuana in the car today? And me and my friend look at each other, and we look back at the police officer. He goes, listen, guys, before you say anything, being honest goes a long way with me, so if you just tell the truth, we won't have a problem. So my friend listens to him. He goes, yeah, officer, we do have a little bit of marijuana in the car, but we smoked most of it. Just tells the officer that we were just smoking, but to be honest, he already knew, so whatever. But he pulls out the bong in the back seat and shows the officer, and there's some weed left in it, and there's a little bag next to it with like, I don't know, maybe a dub, like $20 worth of weed. And the cop goes, listen, I appreciate you guys being honest with me. Weed's illegal here, so if you're going to do it somewhere else at your home or something, not in a police station parking lot. You're kind of asking for trouble with that one. I'm not going to take any of your stuff. Just go home and get that out of your car, because if you get pulled over with it, you can get in trouble. And my friend's like, thank you so much, officer. Like, you're the best. He goes, yep, no problem. Have a good one. And he turns around and he walks away. And me and my friend both just look at each other with the biggest smiles on our face ever. And yeah, we put the car in drive, got the hell out of there, and then picked up one of our friends and told him about the whole thing. And after that, we went to the concert and had a nice rest of our night. No more problems. Everything was good. But yeah, it's not every day people could say that they hit a bong and hotbox their car at a police station. So this is definitely one of my crazier story times. So I hope you guys enjoy it. If you do, leave a like. I would really appreciate it. And moral of the story is, don't go hitting bongs in front of police stations. Even if it's legal where you're at, probably not a good idea. If you guys enjoyed this story time, please leave a like on the video. I'd really appreciate it. Feel free to leave your story times in the comments down below. And subscribe if you're new. I'll see you guys all later. Peace.
Be great, will it keep on long like, hey, are they all mad cause I did this? Auto-tune on, but they sound like shit. I will never change, yeah, still the same kid, still the same team, even when I
Yo, what's good, guys? It's Austin here, or Luna. So today's story is definitely beyond interesting, and one of those ones where I kind of took the L, but also kind of dodged a bullet. So let's get into it. So today's story time all takes place when I was 18 years old, okay? Now, I was in a happy relationship at the time. I was dating this girl for about 4 months, so it had been quite a bit, and we were getting pretty serious, and things were going very well. And I had no complaints really about the relationship and how it was going. And also my YouTube channel was doing very well, and just everything in my life was going really good, right? I just turned 18. Things were perfect, right? Well, unfortunately, when things are going really good in my life, usually something has to come along and kind of screw the whole thing up. So this all starts off as a normal day. I was getting ready for a date with my girlfriend at the time. I had taken a shower, gotten ready. I was all ready to go. We were going to a really nice restaurant nearby my house. We get to the restaurant. I met her there. We go inside, we sit down, and we start having dinner. Now, let's just call my girlfriend at the time Riley, okay? I'm not going to give out her real name, but as a placeholder, let's call her Riley. So yeah, me and Riley got to this restaurant. We met there. We went inside. We sat down, ordered some appetizers. We're sitting there. We're talking, and it was a great start to our date, right? And then, about 20 minutes into our date, right before the food was about to come out, she leans over the table and grabs both my hands and goes, hey, there's something I got to talk to you about. And it sounded pretty serious. I thought it was either a really good thing or a really bad thing. So I look at her and I'm like, well, is it bad or is it good? She goes, I don't know. You can be the judge of that. I was like, okay, well, what is it? And before she could even start talking, tears start coming down her face. Like, she starts crying. And that's when I knew what I was about to hear was a bad thing. So I was like, what's going on? Like, what's wrong? Are you okay? And I go around the table and I'm hugging her and I'm making sure she's okay, right? And she goes, I'm not happy. I was like, oh, so it's that conversation. She's like, yeah. So I'm like, okay, did I do something to make you unhappy? Like, is it just me and my personality? Like, what is it? She's like, I'm really not sure. I just don't feel, like, happy in this relationship. I just don't feel good. I feel like I'm tied down. And I was like, listen, anything that we have in our way, we can definitely work through. But if you feel like you're not happy with me and you feel tied down and that you don't want to be in this relationship and you're unhappy with me, then if you want to leave, you can. I was basically just trying to be nice and give her an out if she wanted to break up with me. And she gets mad at me. She's like, really? You just want us to break up that easy? I was like, no, absolutely not. I don't want us to break up. But if you're unhappy with me and unhappy in this relationship, I don't know what to do. Especially since you told me it's not my fault and I didn't do anything. She goes, yeah, well, you could try harder. And I was like, but you just told me I didn't do anything. If you would have told me I'm not trying hard enough to, like, make you feel wanted, then I would have tried harder. And she goes, whatever, you're clearly not the guy for me. And she gets up and just walks away. And as she's walking away, the food comes out, including hers. So now I have no appetite, 2 plates of food I probably can't even finish, and a girl that left me with a pretty expensive dinner bill, right? But it's fine. I paid it. I went on with my night, and I tried to not think about the fact that I just got dumped. Now you're probably like, Austin, what happened, man? You ever see her again? You guys ever, like, make up? Like, what happened? Oh, yeah, I saw her again. A month later. So a month later, I'm sitting in my room. I'm kind of still a little bit depressed about the fact that I got dumped and that, you know, me and Riley weren't together anymore. And I'm working on a video in my room, just distracting myself, being productive, you know. And I get a phone call from my good friend Chase. And I answer it, and I'm like, what's up, man? He's like, yo, man, what are you doing? I'm like sitting in my room working on a video. He's like, yeah, what else is new, man? Come on, you want to do something else? I was like, well, I'll be done with this in like 20 minutes. After that, I'm all free. He's like, bet, there's a party going on tonight. You're welcome to come with me. I'm like, I don't know, man. Like, is anyone going to be there that I know? He's like, yeah, man, me. I'm like, yeah, but like anyone else. I don't want to be like that awkward, odd one out. He's like, nah, man, you're not going to be. Don't think like that. I got you. So, like 45 minutes later, Chase was at my house in the driveway picking me up, and we were both going to this party together. And when I got there, I walked into a
Yo, shout out to the people that are locked up in the Bikini Bottom, bro. Man, we got Mr. Krabs, Plankton, Karen, Sandy Cheeks, Mrs. Puff, and Pearl. Man, they all locked up. Can't believe it no more, bro. Damn, I'm out. Yo, I'm finna kill Bob. I ain't talking about SpongeBob. Every day I'm smoking on dead hogs. I pull up with Glocks and I put your mans in a box. I told her I'm done. I don't think she really happy. I told her shut up before I slap you with a patty. Bow! I look from the back and she looking real fatty. Yeah, damn! I'm sick of her cause she getting real chatty. I think she a rat. 6'9". I told her to bring the whip to bring me straight to Mackey's. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba. That girl is a munch. Like Ice Spice. Every day I be listening to RKT. I got so. She think I'm a joke, and I told her I am, yup. And I told her to sleep on the sofa, and she thought I was playing. Nope. Yo, I'm finna kill Bob. I ain't talking about SpongeBob. Every day I'm smoking on dead hogs. I pull up with Glocks, and I put your mans in a box. I told her I'm done. I don't think she really happy. I told her shut up before I slap you with a patty. Bow! I look from the back, and she looking real fatty. Yeah, damn! I'm sick of her cause she getting real chatty. I think she a rat. 6'9". I told her to bring the whip to bring me straight to Mackey's. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba. That girl is a munch, like Ice Spice. Every day I be listening to RKT. I got so. She think I'm a joke, and I told her I am, yup. And I told her to sleep on the sofa, and she thought I was playing. Nope. She thought I was playing, so I told her to sleep outside with a dog. Arf, arf. I was scrolling through Insta, saw that girl with another man. What? I told her who this. She got nervous, and she started farting out her pants. Ew. She said she was trans, so I disappeared like John Cena. You can't see me. I told her I'm not like that. She turned and she got real mad. I'm finna kill Bob and I ain't talking about SpongeBob. Every day I smoking on my dead ops. I pull up my Glock and I put your mans in a box. Damn, that's disrespectful.